time. In total, 25 people were shot and several survivors remain in hospital. Alfara Mushwana reports.
What once served as a family home and a source of income has now become a site of painful memories after the family lost several loved ones. The living room had been converted into a tavern with bedrooms partitioned using cardboard. The family says the shooters stormed into the tavern and opened fire on patrons before brutally entering the bedrooms and pointing firearms at the minors who were fast asleep. This relative, who survived the attack, says the shooting has changed their lives in a devastating way.
They stormed in and just opened fire when people were drinking. The children and my sister were sleeping in the bedroom. The shooters made sure that everyone was left dead.
The tavern's owner was also wounded in the shooting, and while she survived the attack, her children were not as fortunate. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
NPA head Shamila Batoyi has distanced herself from the terms of reference of the inquiry looking into Joburg prosecution's boss Andrew Chauker's fitness to hold office. Batoyi says the terms of reference provided by President Cyril Ramaphosa are different to the draft she submitted. She has been cross-examined at the inquiry by Chauker's legal representatives today. An inquiry was established by the president after Chauker was accused of making politically motivated prosecutorial decisions. Modise reports.
It was NPA boss Shamila Batoyi who lodged a complaint against Joburg prosecution's head Andrew Chauker with President Cyril Ramaphosa, which led to an inquiry into his fitness to hold office. But today, during her testimony, Batoyi distanced herself from the terms of reference published by the president.
We did submit a draft to the president, but what the president adopted subsequently is quite different from the draft, and we didn't input into any draft that the president had. So there is a difference between the two.
While Batoyi has been repeatedly asked to link her allegations against Chauker to the inquiry's terms of reference, Batoyi said she'd not familiarized herself with them. The inquiry now wants to see the draft that Batoyi sent to the president to compare it to the terms of reference adopted by the president in order to establish the crux of the allegations against Chauker. Eyewitness News in Pretoria.
ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says the party suffers from a disease of not implementing its policy resolutions. Ramaphosa has been speaking at the ANC's 5th National General Council, taking place at the Birchwood Hotel in Boksburg. The NGC acts as a mid-term review of the party's performance since its last elective conference. Thabiso Koba reports.
In his political overview, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa reflected on the party's wins and losses in government. Some of the wins cited by Ramaphosa is the decrease in load-shedding events and the growth of the economy. He says ANC members deployed to government still need to do more in terms of service delivery.
We should also focus more attention on the implementation of our decisions. For the lack of the implementation of our decisions is a disease that we must rid our organizations and structures, including our government, of.
Ramaphosa has challenged the delegates attending the NGC to come up with creative ways to solve the issues currently facing the country and the ANC. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Boksburg.
We shift our focus to this now. Limpopo Police Commissioner Thembi Khatebe has urged officers to make use of the employee health and wellness programs that the SAPS has on offer. The call comes after a murder-suicide incident left 2 officers dead at the weekend. It's understood a male officer shot and killed his female colleague and later turned the gun on himself during an argument. It's understood the 2 officers were in a relationship. The incident comes as the country continues to mark 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children. Khatebe says this incident is a harsh reminder of the impact of GBV even within the ranks of law enforcement. Her spokesperson, Hlulani Mashaba.
We urgently appeal to all members experiencing relationship difficulties, emotional distress or domestic conflict to seek professional help without delay. The Provincial Commissioner thereof encourage members to make use of the employee health and wellness programs that SAPS has on offer rather than resorting to violence.
And a Beijing court has ordered Malaysia Airlines to pay compensation to the families of 8 passengers from flight MH370. The order comes more than a decade after the plane disappeared. In a statement released today, the court says 47 other lawsuits were withdrawn after the families settled outside court. Flight MH370 disappeared in 2014 while travelling from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing with 239 people on board. The search for the wreckage of the flight will resume on the 30th of December. Gold is trading at $4,209.65 an ounce. The rand is at 16.98 to the dollar, 22.61 to the pound, 19.78 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $63.75 a barrel.
Heading into Protea Glen, there's slow-moving traffic on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. And look out for those faulty traffic lights in the Edenvale area. This is on Morafontein Road and Van Riebeek.
In your sport, the Proteas switched their attention to the T20 series against India. Mohamed Salah reports for training amid claims that Liverpool are trying to push him out. And Lando Norris proud of winning his first Formula One Drivers' Championship his way.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 26 and 28 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, a family that lost 3 children in a mass shooting in Salsville, west of Pretoria, says the gunman entered a bedroom and opened fire on the children as they slept.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Monday, the 8th of December. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you're listening to us in 702 land, that could be anywhere in the world, of course. Welcome to the show. Hope you had a good weekend. The African National Congress gathers over the next 5 days in its National General Council. It's a significant event as the ANC tries to arrest its precipitous decline in recent years and deal what appears to be, once again, significant division within its ranks. We'll get the latest news from Tabiso Gorbo, who's out at the Birchwood Hotel. That's at 3:25. And after 5, we'll examine some of the bigger issues expected to take center stage. Ferrell Haffaji from Daily Maverick joins us for that. Some other stories we're covering. Are you a Kia owner affected by news today of the recall of 18,000 of their vehicles? Have your December plans been impacted? Anything else that you're not able to do? And do you have a hard choice to make about how you get the problems sorted out? Call us with any thoughts you might have on 071 7072 702 1702. We'll look more closely at the issue with motoring expert Warren Tucker at 4:10. Joburg Water has announced the purchase of a new fleet of water tankers. Is that good news because we need them? Or is it bad news because, well, they need them? They expect to need them for a while to come. We'll get the views of water activist Ferrell Adam from Watercan. That's at 4:10. And as the dust refuses to settle on South Africa-USA relations, we'll get an American perspective. Analyst Scott Fersing joins us for that from Houston in Texas. We've got all that and a whole lot more on 702 Drive, including breaking news from the roads in our regular traffic updates, and the latest from the markets. On the markets, the All Share is starting the week with a bit of a struggle, down by 1,070 points. That's nearly 1%. There's red in every sector, but the deepest shade is in resources. That index down by 1.9%. Anglo Gold weaker by 4.2%. Goldfields by 2.8%. And Aspen by 2.4%. Good day though for ABSA, up 3.2%. Sasol strong about 2.5%. Karoo is up by 2%. Our currency, rand will cost you a dollar will cost you 16 rand 97. The euro will set you back 19 rand 77. 22 rand and 57 cents will get you a pound. Nice dip in the oil price at least. Brent crude cheaper by 65 cents. Currently for sale at $63.06 a barrel. Stephen Crudis joins us with all the market news at 4:25. Sport with Tolakele Mganga and Bali Dlamini has the latest news headlines. Karabo Chale is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you'll hear it here first. If, however, you know more about things than we do about a particular story that's come your way and we haven't yet heard about it, please get in touch with us on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. It's 12 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Lots to talk about. We got plenty of questions to ask and lots to think about. And of course, there are those thoughts that are somewhat random, not necessarily connected to the news agenda or even anything happening on social media. And what we do is we turn those thoughts into a question and we put that question to you, which is what we're going to do right now. Now, a couple of years ago, this is quite a few years back actually, maybe 10, 12, my wife and I were away somewhere in the Western Cape, staying in a guest house. Probably now it would be called Airbnb, but you get the picture. So, fairly modest stuff. We sit down to breakfast and they serve up the hot food, and I get 2 eggs and my wife gets 1. And she was completely puzzled by that. We never really got into any kind of conversation with the owner about that, but there was sort of an assumption made. And that just happened to coincide, Jonathan Fairburn, good afternoon to you, with something interesting you picked up on the internet.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, John. So this woman had ordered from a particular takeaway spot in the US, and it's an online delivery, right? So she would order under, let's call her Kirsty, and she would then receive the food, and she would okay. Then she had spoken to a couple of other friends, and some of them were men, and she kind of noticed that,
yes,
the portion sizes, if you order under a male name, seem to be a lot bigger. So then on her account, she changed her details to a male name, and placed the very same order, and then did a comparison. And the order she received under the male name is bigger. The portion was bigger, even though it's the same order. So a lot of people online were saying, that they've noticed that as well, that from time to time, if you order under a female name versus a male name, you get slightly bigger portions if it's under a man. Bringing it back home here, I don't think that would be an issue here. I've never experienced that when you're ordering off Uber Eats or whatever it may be. But if you look at restaurants, some restaurants will have, let's say you want to order a chicken, half a chicken, and it's got bones in. Then they'll have a chicken for girls or a chicken for ladies, which is a deboned chicken.
Oh,
okay.
Or a steak for women, which is a smaller steak.
Yes.
So, that's an interesting thing in terms of, if you're a woman out there, do you want to order the ladies' steak in inverted commas, or do you, give me the 300-gram steak and call it the 300-gram steak?
Yes.
Why must it be specifically, marketed as a female's? A steak for ladies, essentially.
I'm fascinated, in particular, by the takeaway element to this. You change from Kirsty to Conrad or whatever it is, and suddenly you get 10 more chips in a having ordered the chips medium. Very, very interesting. Okay, well, good. So Karabo Chali, do you find that there's any of that kind of what do we call it? Do we call it discrimination? Do we call it presumption? And the two can, of course, go together.
So if you don't have a choice, I find that discrimination. But I used to work at Spur many years ago, and in their menu, they had ladies' rump,
yeah,
and then they'll have ladies' sirloin, ladies' ribs,
yes,
and you choose. So I guess, I don't know, it was up to the ladies if they wanted the ladies' rump or the ladies' ribs. But yeah, but I don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's as widely as widely as it used to be. But there are still one or two restaurants, I think, where you get like a ladies' rump or whatever it may be. And is it because do women eat less than men do when it comes to things? I know, like, so if I go and buy a steak for me and the missus, right? So let's say I buy a big piece of rump and then we'll cut it between the two of us. I like, shall I do half? And she'll be like, no, that's way too much for me.
Jeez. Yes.
So then, I cut her a lot less, and then I'll eat the bigger chunk. So
let's get your stories, please. I mean, particularly on takeaway orders. I mean, does it depend? Maybe you're in a couple or a household where sometimes there's the man who makes the order, and sometimes a woman makes the order, and do the portion sizes vary depending on who places the order? I'm really, really curious to know. It's 17 minutes past 3. We ought to catch up with the traffic. Let's get the best. The latest, I mean.
And the best traffic report here on 702. At this stage, wet, slippery roads. This is in Gauteng, so please allow for extra traveling time. Maintain a safe following distance and keep your headlights on. Not too bad on our roads, I must say. There's, however, peak hour traffic through the Protea Glen area. N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Also, traffic is already building up. This is on the N1 northbound between Bayers Nordia and Rivonia Road. Not yet clear what's causing this delay. So if you're on that route, leaving Roodepoort, heading towards Fourways, let me know. Or you can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. Also coming from Rivonia, heading towards Fourways, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N1 southbound. This is between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. I'll have your next Eyewitness News traffic update just after 3:30.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
What would be your advice for the Madlanga Commission? How should they approach the issue of witness protection? Because what we are being told is that they did offer some protection for witness D, for Marius, and he said, well, he works in the security industry. He didn't need that. What would be your advice?
We don't have to go to the extreme of witness protection programs, creating pseudo-identities, creating safe houses in different provinces. That's overkill. So if they are able to protect politicians who aren't living in secrecy, then perhaps we need to look at something similar. Nobody really wants to go into a witness protection program in South Africa because their life is completely in turmoil.
Chad Thomas, crime expert and organized crime investigator.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
At Auto & General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto & General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Hey, sorry for the voice note, but listen, I was there. I saw the receipt. Like, literally, that thing was long. It was giving scroll vibes and everything. Tommy, with this new Discount Better Rewards card, you get 10% off instantly. But like, instantly, on over 140 brands. So look, I don't want to be like, dramatic or anything, but your discount till slip never looked better. Okay, bye.
Say hello to the Baby Krugerrand, the smallest gold Krugerrand ever released. Don't let its size fool you. This 1/50th coin carries the exclusive PK200 Privy Mark, celebrating 200 years of Paul Kruger. With gold prices up more than 50% this year and demand surging, now is the time to invest. These miniature treasures are moving fast, so don't miss your chance to own a unique piece of history. Visit citycoins.com to secure yours today.
Stop. Turn off the noise. Put down the phone. Have dinner with your family. Sit on the couch with your mum. Belly flop into bed for a power nap. Make your house home again with the furniture you'll love at prices you'll love even more. Celebrate style and celebrate savings at Decofurn Furniture with incredible discounts every day till end January. In-store or at decofurnsa.co.za.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
21 past 3. Well, you may have been aware of horrific news coming out of the Salsville hostel, which is on the west side of Pretoria. 25 people were shot at the weekend. 11 of those people shot have died so far. Others are being treated largely, I think, at the Kalafong hostel. Now, the Commissioner of Police, General Fani Masemola, is busy giving a briefing on this. Let's get the very latest from him, and let's just tune in and hear what he's got to say.
Those who are found not to be compliant with the Liquor Act, of course, you should be aware that each province have got its own liquor law, which those that are suppliers should comply with that specific law of the province. Both illegal taverns and licensed establishments are posing a major challenge for police, of course, in all provinces, but of course in Gauteng is quite in majority. Gauteng alone, from the 1st of April to date, we have inspected 41,366 liquor premises, and out of that, a total of 2,906 unlicensed liquor premises were shut down and their owners charged for selling of liquor illegally. A total of 972 illegal firearms were seized in Gauteng alone since April. 863 of these illegal firearms were pistols and revolvers, and 60 of them were rifles. With the latest crime stats, Gauteng is registering the highest in the number of incidents of hijacking, kidnappings, murder and rape. However, you have seen quite a decline in terms of these crimes. We know that the provinces are intensifying their weekly operations, conducting multidisciplinary operations and working closely with other law enforcement agencies in the various provinces. If I have to touch on what we normally refer to as mass shooting, that is where more than one person has been shot. We are aware that it is a problem. Gauteng from July 2025 is the third incident of this nature. You would remember in July we had a shooting of 6 people in Olivenhoek-Bosch. The shipping owner was arrested for illegally trading in liquor, and one suspect has since been identified. This suspect is currently arrested and detained in Lesotho on a separate murder case. The SAPS is currently engaging with Interpol. Once he finalizes with the case in Lesotho, we'll be able to extradite him to come over to account for the crimes of Olivenhoek-Bosch. In Bronkhorstspruit, you remember where 5 people were shot at Zitobeni Tavern. 2 people have since been arrested and are still in custody. We will continue to intensify our operations and request the cooperation of communities in making the festive season a safer one. It is all hands on deck, ladies and gentlemen, in terms of the law enforcement agencies in the country, both to make sure that we protect the city.
Okay, that's General Fani Masemola. We were hoping to get some kind of clear update. I think he may have given it just before we joined on what's happening with that shooting that took place over the weekend. Tragic shooting, 11 people dead, and obviously condolences go out to anybody who's connected to the people who lost their lives. Our reporter, Alpha Ramoshwana, is out there, so we'll get some clarity from him. He'll obviously wait out until that press conference is done, and then we'll get a call from him, and we'll get the very latest from him there. 25 minutes past 3.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Okay, let's pick up on, I guess, the big political story of the week over the next 5 days. The National General Council of the African National Congress, known as the NGC, is meeting. They don't meet very often, I can tell you. So this gathering is one of considerable importance. It comes at a time with the ANC looking back on last year's general and provincial elections. And I think if they're not, but I'm sure they are, looking ahead to the local government elections with a degree of trepidation, because by-election results have been mixed, but I think the trend overall has not been in the favor of a party that for a very long time really did rule the roost in this country. So out at the NGCs, our EWN reporter colleague Thabiso Goba, and he joins us now. Thabiso, very good afternoon to you. Lots of speeches today. Anyone say anything that was perhaps off script or setting the agenda, or was it fairly predictable stuff? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. I think much of it was fairly predictable, but there was a moment, John, when the SACP Deputy Secretary General was speaking, and he was being jeered by the ANC members. Repeatedly, Gwede Mantashe, the ANC chairperson, had to repeatedly intervene in terms of to just calm the ANC members down. Now, you'll understand that the SACP has decided to obviously contest elections alone outside of the ANC umbrella. And this is important, John, because the NGC, the National General Council, is a midterm review in terms of the policies that the ANC adopted at its elective conference in 2022 and how it has the progress report on how it has implemented those policies. And we do know that one of those policies adopted in 2022 was the reconfiguration of the alliance, which obviously includes COSATU, the SACP, and SANCO. And so far, the alliance has not been reconfigured. And this is obviously has caused a lot of sort of drama and chaos between the SACP and the ANC. And this is why when obviously a member from the SACP was speaking, there was a lot of booing and there was a lot of jeering, which obviously led to the ANC chairperson, Gwede Mantashe, telling the delegates here that this platform over the next 4 days, you are going to be hearing a lot of things you might not want to hear. But this is a platform where we're going to have debates, and you just can't boo people just because you don't agree with them. Then if that's going to happen, it's not going to be a very productive platform that we're going to have over the next 4 days, John.
So that's the formal proceedings. In terms of what's going on and what some of the agenda points might be that are perhaps unspoken but are nevertheless critical. I mean, what are you trying to get answers to? What questions do you have on your mind, Thabiso, that you're going to not get from the plenary sessions, but maybe you might get clarity on from the corridors?
I mean, it's no secret, John, that there are succession battles that are brewing in the ANC. We know that President Cyril Ramaphosa's second term comes to an end in 2027, and we understand that he has no desire to actually for a second term as ANC president. So there's a lot of sort of those succession battles that are brewing. The delegates here who are being here would likely be the same delegates who are going to be voting in the 2027 conference. So there's a lot of campaigning that might be happening on those corridors here at the Birchwood Hotel. But interesting, John, now we are just about to go back to the plenary session. We're going to hear two presentations. One from the Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, which is the midterm reports. That is obviously going to be talking on that progress in terms of those resolutions that were taken in 2022. But the most interesting one will be the Treasurer General's report from the ANC TG, Gwen Ramakgopa. As we've reported, John, earlier on the day, there were some ANC supporters or some ANC employees who were protesting outside this venue, saying that they haven't been paid. So that Treasurer General's report in terms of the financial stability of the ANC will obviously be interesting to hear.
Very interesting indeed. Thank you very much, Thabiso Goba. Regular updates from Thabiso throughout the day on our news bulletins. You'll get in touch if there's any reason why he needs to come back on with us, because stuff's happening out there all the time. After 5, the thoughts of journalist and analyst Ferial Hafaji. That's coming up later on 702 Drive. It's 3:30 and this Eyewitness News is brought to you by Vouch. Hassle-free insurance is possible with your Vouch advisor. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply. Here's Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The Umkhonto weSizwe Party has now confirmed that former President Jacob Zuma's daughter, Brumelda, will be sworn in as a parliamentarian on Wednesday. The confirmation comes a week after leaks from party headquarters last week. Former Deputy Police Minister Bongani Mkongi, who last week told EWN he was unaware of the deployment, will also be sworn in. They're amongst 4 new MPs who will take up seats on the benches of the official opposition, owing in part to vacancies arising from 2 high-profile resignations. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
10 days ago, the MK party announced the resignation of leader Jacob Zuma's daughter, Dudazile, following accusations that she's been involved in deceitfully luring South African men to Russia to fight in its war against Ukraine. A few days later, former PRASA boss Lucky Montana announced he too was quitting his short politics career after recently also caught in controversy with the tax authority and facing sequestration over millions of rand in unpaid taxes. With Zuma's 2 daughters trading places, the party says Brumelda Zuma brings with her experience in public administration. Meanwhile, another newcomer to Parliament is Makhosazana Radebe, who has a history in local government as a former municipal councillor in the Lekwa municipality. Former MK military veteran Pumlani Kubukele completes the new cohort of 4. The party's parliamentary whip, Colleen Makubele, says the new MPs will bring a wealth of experience and dedication to the party and the National Assembly. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The city of Cape Town insists its household tariffs are lawful, constitutional and designed to protect lower and middle income households from paying higher property rates. Lawyers for the city defended its decision to introduce fixed water and sanitation charges based on property value in a 4-day court battle last week. The SA Property Owners Association and the Cape Town Collective Ratepayers Association hauled the city to the Western Cape High Court to argue against the fixed tariffs. Carlo Peterson has more.
Cape Town Collective Ratepayers Association Vice Chairperson Boewe van Eems says the CTCRA supports the SA Property Owners Association's arguments against the city.
On day 1, SAPUA opened by arguing that the city's new fixed charges are disguised property rates because they are tied to property values rather than actual service consumption.
Boewe says the city should be able to use alternative mechanisms that do not rely on property values for its levies.
Rates may legally be based on property value, but service tariffs may not. CTCRA supported this argument, emphasizing that tariffs must reflect the cost of providing the service, not the value of a person's homes.
The city says Cape Townians benefit from the lowest monthly bills, record infrastructure investment and better service delivery compared to other metros. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And the European Union has dismissed online attacks by tech tycoon Elon Musk after his social media platform X was fined 120 million euros by Brussels. His social media platform was slapped with a fine on Friday for breaking the bloc's digital rules. Musk hit out at the EU at the weekend, saying it should be abolished and sovereignty returned to individual countries. The penalty was swiftly criticized by the US administration of President Donald Trump. EU spokesperson Paula Pino.
First of all, let me say that it's part of the freedom of speech to put out even completely crazy statements. I guess awarding companies of Mr. Musk, as explained by Thomas, a fine does not seem to warn the EU his sympathy.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 26 and 28 degrees.
Bumper-to-bumper traffic that's heading into Protea Glen on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. In Rivonia, traveling towards four ways, traffic heavily backed up N1 south between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive.
The top story in EWN, the Umkhonto weSizwe Party has now confirmed that former President Jacob Zuma's daughter, Brumelda, will be sworn in as an MP on Wednesday.
Let's be honest, no one actually reads the fine print. Those exclusions and clauses, clever wording that sounds helpful but isn't. And that's the thing with insurance. Everyone thinks they can do it themselves until boom, something goes wrong. That's where Vouch pulls through. Real advice, real people who actually know what repudiation means. Being smart isn't about knowing everything, it's about knowing who to ask.
Vouch, someone on the inside, on your side. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Do you agree with the president that this is an important gathering of the membership of the ANC?
I think that the ANC finds itself at a crossroads at this point in time, and the NGC actually signals the ANC has entered a very crucial phase in its organization.
Hlumelo Xaba, political analyst. The deputy president, Paul Mashatile, saying that the gathering of the ANC will not discuss leadership changes, saying that President Cyril Ramaphosa will remain in office until the end of his term, with leadership matters reserved for the 2027 National Conference.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Naked people always get dessert. Because naked people spend less money on insurance premiums, they've got more money for Malva pudding, or cheesecake, or both. With Naked, you can cover your car, home, and stuff in seconds. And because it's all online, it also costs less. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and start treating yourself like naked people. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John, and all 702 listeners. John, I think the issue of portions stems from the assumption that ladies normally eat less than men. So I think that's where they get that notion from. But these days, most especially in South Africa, the portions are the same. But one thing that I've also realized is that the portion that you get when you order food, a takeaway food and sit-in food is different. Very different. I think you get more portion when you are there, present, when they are seeing you. And then when it's takeaway, they know maybe the chances of complaining and all that stuff, they are low. So I've always noticed that difference. Thank you, Sean.
Good afternoon, 702 and the fellow listeners. Hey, ANC renewal. Kokai, where? They are allergic to renewing themselves. The only thing they are capable of is having those policies and leaving windows and back doors open so that their comrades can loot and the money goes back to the house. Ramaphosa can sit there and stand there, whether he's sitting or standing or sleeping, and lie to himself. The numbers are still going to dwindle. They are running a poverty system in this country and they expect people to worship them. They don't want to be held accountable for nothing. So they are going down the drain.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting time for the ANC and this NGC. I mean, the word used by that listener, and thanks, by the way, for both of those voice notes. Do you get bigger portions if you sit down than if you order a takeaway? That's another angle to the question we asked earlier. Do consciously or unconsciously men get served larger amounts than women when they are paying the same amount for the same dish in the same place? Give me a call on either of those issues if you like. On that thing, though, if the ANC is allergic to change, that's exactly the headline, more or less. put on a very, very interesting column by Juanita Hunter. I recommend you read it on News 24. And it says the ANC, addicted to diagnosis, allergic to treatment. And it's very well argued and it's very well set up. And she talks about how honest the party, in her own words, what fascinates me is how honest the party is when diagnosing its own condition. No one analyzes the ANC better than the ANC, but she says as the symptoms worsen, the instinct is always to run more tests. The cycle continues while the patient grows weaker. Give us your thoughts on that. It's quite possible that you have voted for the ANC, followed the fortunes of the ANC. Maybe you're in a branch, but would you agree with the way Juanita's put it? She, by the way, goes into a lot more detail around the central theme, but I thought the central theme and the way it was worded was rather compelling. 19 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kelly, very good afternoon to you. Proteas back in action tomorrow. The games get shorter, the tour gets longer.
Absolutely, John, and they'll take on India in the first of 5 T20s, having lost the ODI series. David Miller's fit again and will be involved in his first games under coach Shukri Conrad. Ahead of the opener, he's discussed how he's settling in.
I've dealt with Shukri, very briefly in the past. It was that just as it was one-off series against England a couple of years ago in South Africa, where he was interim coach for that series, and then a couple A-side games in the past, quite a few years ago. So. Not a lot of dealing with Shukri, but obviously over the years you always see each other, and we get on really well, and it's he's done superbly well. So it's good to be on the train.
The Proteas women secured the T23 match series against Ireland following a 65-run victory in the second game. Having won the toss and batting first, they posted 201 for 5 as Faye Sunnycliffe registered her maiden international 50. In response, Ireland were restricted to 136 for 3 as Chloe Traron finished with figures of 2 for 24. Over to football, where Wayne Rooney believes that Mohamed Salah is absolutely destroying his Liverpool legacy. That follows his outburst at manager Arne Slot following the defending champions' draw with Leeds in the Premier League. Salah claimed he's being pushed out, having been left on the bench for a third game in a row. He also confirmed that their relationship had deteriorated due to him being made a scapegoat for their poor start to the campaign. Speaking on his BBC podcast, Rooney claims that the Egyptian forward is adding to the woes in the Reds' dressing room.
What you'd like to think is, he's one of the main players, if not the main player for Liverpool over the last few years. And you want to see him roll the sleeves up and say, okay, then I'll show you. And to have the arrogance to say that, he doesn't have to earn his place because he should play, he's already earned his place. You need to be at your best every week to try and stay in your team. That's part of being in a team sport. And if I was one of his teammates, I wouldn't be happy at all with what he said, because this is where Liverpool need the most.
In the Carling knockout final, Orlando Pirates were 1-0 winners over Marumo Gallants as Rile Mofokeng scored the winner in extra time. Coach Adeslam Madu has now backed the President Dema 2000 to deliver the Buccaneers a long-awaited league title.
We gave him some rest and he came back a very good fitness. And you can see that last 3-4 games that we played, he was part of the success of the team. He did some fantastic assists. And you can see the difference between Rile Mofokeng fit and Rile Mofokeng tired. Rile Mofokeng, even 70% of his possibilities, he can help the team. I cannot imagine when he's 100%.
And Lando Norris won his first Formula One Drivers' Championship by securing the third place he needed in the season-ending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The Brit won the title by 2 points from Red Bull's Max Verstappen, who won the race to take his 8th victory of the year. Norris becomes the 11th British world champion at the end of his 7th season in the sport. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Eyewitness News Traffic with Plumlink, your local plumbing store. Visit plumlink.co.za to find your nearest store. Well, here to help you find your nearest traffic jam is Karabo Chali.
Sure, John, thanks. Well, at this stage, if you're traveling between Lone Hill and Kyalami, there's an accident scene on a main road. This is near Zinia. Causing heavy delays all the way from Lone Hill Boulevard. Also traveling through Midrand, heading towards Pretoria, bumper-to-bumper traffic N1 northbound between the Betloon to change and Sam Rand. Also, if you are heading towards Four Ways, that's leaving the Rivonia area, there's heavy delays on the N1 southbound between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. Traffic remains heavily backed up traveling into Protea Glen. This is N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. If you come across Any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
If it's plumbing, you'll find it at Plumlink, South Africa's largest plumbing retailer. From pipes, fittings, geysers, and baths to basins, taps, tools, and accessories, we've got it all. With more than 10,000 quality products at the right price and over 150 stores nationwide, there's always a Plumlink near you, ready to help with expert advice and unbeatable value. Find your nearest branch today at plumlink.coza.
Plumlink, your local plumbing store.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 14 minutes to 4. Tolakele, portions. If you're out with male friends or perhaps you order takeaways in the name of Tolakele and maybe you're visiting a friend called David or Joburg or whatever. The reason I'm asking you all these things is Kabazela came across a very interesting thing about a woman in the United States who changed her name to a male name went on her takeaway ordering app and found that she was getting bigger portions when she ordered in a male's name. Do you think that happens in South Africa? That was in the US.
I think it probably does when you're doing like an Uber Eats or a delivery,
Yes.
especially because some names you can never figure, especially African names, you can never figure
yes,
out if it's a man and a
Lerato,
woman.
yes,
So
yes.
you're like, okay, I'll give them big meals. But in the restaurant, you can be like, why did you get the bigger chicken piece? And then they just gave me a small drumstick. I think the waiters are obviously very conscious of the fact that, okay, maybe the lady doesn't want to have as much of like the potato salad as the man, but don't make that decision for me. I will decide for myself.
So have you ever said, sorry, just can we have a look here? I've just counted the chips on the two plates. My companion got 47 and I got 34.
I probably have just noticed between the two of us, but I'll
Yes.
never complain to the waitress because I'm like, it already took us 50 minutes to get the food.
Yes.
I don't want to wait another hour.
Yeah, but you've noticed it in restaurants that you get less.
I definitely have.
Yes, and the point you make, and you put it very precisely, you say, I'll make that decision about how much I eat. I don't need your help.
If I want to lose weight, I won't be at this restaurant. I will make sure that I'm meal prepping by myself at home.
No, but also you should get a deduction. I mean, if you're getting a small little skinny drumstick, either they must load his bill or make a deduction from yours, which would work best. Call us on that, please, on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 12 minutes to 4.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
I am Dr. John. Maybe white and Xhosa women don't eat a lot, but when it comes to Machangani and this Soweto women, those who like to say they're foodies, I'm telling you, those ones, they can eat bread and pap at the same time in the morning, the whole day. They don't eat takeaways, those ones. Yeah. If they buy quarter, they will buy that one that looks like a loaf, 74 rand worth of quarter, loaf bite. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's the kids, it's their kids, it's them as well. When they eat, it's like a feast. That feast that Jesus Christ with his 12 disciples, they chicken and beef and pork and pap and muhodu and bread and everything at the same time.
Afternoon, John. So Boss Masimula just went there to give us stats. We are really in trouble. What are the stats for? Because we know about the stats. And another issue, where's the liquor board, the liquor trading, what associations? They were so active during the Nyobeni incident. Now they are quiet because each and every area has a police or a senior police officer who's in charge of these shapings. I feel so sad, especially for the kids who are sleeping there, shame. But they have to arrest those people. But this place need to be properly monitored by the police, except going to take Jojo. But it doesn't matter. If they want to come at 6 to shoot, they'll do it. It's bad in South Africa. Sisi.
Yeah, Sisi, just in fairness to Commissioner Masemola, we did cross into the press conference when we saw it was underway. Now, I do understand that he made certain points about suspects and arrests and all the things you'd expect to hear after a catastrophe of that scale, with 25 people shot, 11 of them have died so far. Once we get hold of Alpha Ramoshwana, he's just busy picking up more information. When he's ready with a comprehensive report, we'll get that. But I don't want you to judge what the conference was about from the bit that we broadcast, because I think we caught possibly a little late the tail end of things, and that's where there was more background information being given. So hold your fire on that one and make up your mind when you've heard everything. 9 minutes to 4.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Now, this is a story that I've been very interested in, but somehow I've never got around to covering it in detail. And let me set the scene for you by referring to a piece that Mandisa Ndlovu has published in today's Daily Maverick, talking about the problem of infant abandonment in Johannesburg, referring to a newborn baby that was discovered dumped in a plastic bag on the banks of the Yixkay River in Alexandra. And the point and thrust of the story is to connect that phenomenon, which is one of a number, where people are saying, people who work with babies and this aspect of our social troubles in the country are saying that the number of abandoned babies is going up. And this is because of the Department of Social Development back in 2023 shutting down baby saver centers. I thought it's a story I've never covered. I think it raises many, many interesting and important issues. And we decided to get into this here and get your views on it as well. But first, let's set the scene and welcome to the show Nadine Grabham, who is co-founder of Baby Savers South Africa and director of the organization Door of Hope. Ms. Grabham, welcome and thanks very much for your time. My understanding of the baby box concept is that it is almost like a safe in the wall of a center where people are accustomed, or the center has been set up to deal with these kinds of infants. When the baby is placed in the baby saver, it triggers an alarm, and members of the staff are then alerted, and they come in and look after the child, which has been placed in a safe and comfortable and shelter, warm space. So with that as background, have you noticed the kind of problems that are being referred to in the story by Mandisa, that with the rendering illegal of these baby savers, you're seeing more abandoned kids with sometimes fatal consequences?
Hello, John. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Baby abandonment has actually been a problem in South Africa for many, many years.
Right.
Private stats were done in 2010 and 2016 that showed around 3,500 babies are abandoned unsafely every year in South Africa. And for every baby found alive, 2 are found dead.
Mm-hmm.
So baby saver boxes are not illegal. It's currently a gray area.
Okay.
The Department of Social Development, specifically Gauteng, sent out a directive in 2023 where they claimed that they are illegal. But we've got a High Court order stating that we can continue the running of baby savers. In the interim, DSD Gauteng then tried to amend the Children's Act by including the use of a baby saver as abandonment and therefore a criminal offense. So if they have gone silently to try and change the Children's Act, then surely that then shows that they also don't think that baby savers are illegal. Because if they were illegal, you wouldn't have to amend the Children's Act.
Right.
So it is actually a matter in the High Court at the moment.
So what are the trends? I mean, even if it's a legal grey area, I don't know whether there's a perception in the community of people who find themselves feeling that they have to abandon their babies, that, okay, that is no longer an option. So maybe a different way of asking it is whether organizations like yours, Door of Hope, are finding that the number of babies placed in what you believe to be a safe space has diminished.
Look, it's a baby saver is not going to reduce abandonment in South Africa, but it can certainly reduce unsafe abandonment, because DSD says that these parents have options. They can go to a police station, they can go to a social worker, they can even leave their baby in hospital. I can tell you now, just last week, I got a phone call from JP police station. They were driving around with a newborn baby in their car that was discharged by the hospital, and they were looking around for a home for this baby to go to. These options fail. So many mothers tell us that they get judged by social workers. They get treated like absolute rubbish in the hospitals when they say they want to give their baby for adoption. So they are almost left with no choice. And what we're saying is, give them one last safe option. And yes, in some cases, babies are abandoned with the intent for that baby to die. But I also think that our social issues like rape, teenage pregnancies, gender-based violence, and illegal abortions are all factors that lead to unsafe abandonment. If we can't fix those, we will continue to see unsafe abandonment in this country.
So in terms of where the court cases are now and when we might get clarity, I know that's a little bit of asking you how long a piece of string is, but I mean, when's the next date where something decisive at least might be heard, if not decided on?
Yeah, so we've actually got two matters running simultaneously. It's the Door of Hope matter, because DSD threatened that they will remove all our children if we don't close our saver. So we immediately applied to the High Court for a court order so that we can keep our saver open and keep running. So that is then also together with the Baby Saver South Africa case, where we eventually got dates for I think the 4th, 5th, and 6th of May next year in front of a full bench, meaning a minimum of 3 judges at the High Court.
Right.
And that is where we will present our constitutional application.
Thanks so much, Nadine Grabham, co-founder of Baby Savers SA and director of the organization Door of Hope. Lots of issues raised by that. Some people listening may feel very critical of those mothers, families, perhaps, if there's more than one person involved who decide that they want to give up on the child in that way. Others may say the availability of a safe option encourages that kind of behavior, whereas the behavior should be addressed. A differing view might be, this has happened, it's going to happen again, we should make it as safe as possible. That's part of the reason why I wanted to discuss this, because it really does raise bigger questions with it. Your views, please, on 072 702 1702. It's 2 minutes to 4.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
The Midday Report won the Best News and Actuality Show at the Telkom Radio Awards. A big thank you to Palesa Mabuye, the technical producer of this show. She doesn't just push the buttons. She does so much more. She keeps me sane. She makes me laugh. She is also the ultimate professional. There's a reason that it sounds so slick and everything works so well. And then also to Nokubonga Klatshwayo, producer of the show. She puts together the show, listens to all of your WhatsApp voice notes, and thank you to all of you.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
You are invited to be part of Clement's 702 family meeting this Wednesday morning. Join us for a year-end review of the top news stories of 2025. Be part of the studio audience and take part in the conversation with 702 presenters and EWN reporters. If you'd like to attend, email us at contact@702.co.za. We're looking forward to walking the talk with you.
Every December, it's the same story. New toys, new clothes, and more takeaways. And by January, the bonus is gone. Grow it, don't blow it. With a Netbank investment. Invest 100,000 Rand or more in a Nedbank 12-month electronic fixed deposit account and stand a chance to win 50,000 Rand. Invest your bonus and grow your future. See money differently. Nedbank. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Some moments only come around once, like the Audi year-end sale. Get the Audi A1 from 6,999 per month with no deposit, a 90-day payment break, so you only start paying next year. Plus, a guaranteed buyback. There's limited time to show up, but unlimited time to stand out in the Audi A1. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest Audi dealer before the 24th of December. T's and C's apply.
At Checkers, we do more so you get extra this Christmas. With festive savings like Sally Williams chocolate and nougat products. Buy any two and save 25%. And Lindt Lindor chocolate balls, 200 grams for $139.99. Plus, stand a chance to win your share of 7 million Rand in prizes. Simply buy any 3 qualifying products and swipe your extra savings card to enter. Valid until Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060. T&Cs apply.
This is EWN.
Police say they know the identities of the Pretoria mass shooters and alleged Russia war recruiters granted bail. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has confirmed that while the suspects of the Salsville mass shooting are still at large, authorities now know who they are. A manhunt is underway for 3 men who staged an attack at a tavern at a hostel on Saturday morning, killing 12 people, including 3 minors. In total, 25 people were shot, with some survivors still receiving treatment in hospital. Speaking at a media briefing near the scene of the shooting today, Masemola confirmed that the suspects have been identified.
We do have an idea of what may have led to this incident. However, intelligence is still gathering and analyzing information that has been received. In no time, we are confident we will find 3 suspects, which we do have an idea who they are.
The Kempton Park Magistrates Court has granted bail to 5 suspects arrested on allegations of luring South Africans to fight in the Russia-Ukraine war. Police arrested the group about 2 weeks ago as they were about to board a flight to Russia following a tip-off. They include 2 suspected recruiters, the first an SABC employee, Nonkululeko Mantula, and 46-year-old Xolani Ntuli. The recruits, aged between 21 and 24, were set to join the Russian forces in contravention of the Foreign Military Assistance Act. Today, the court granted Mantula 30,000 Rand bail and her co-recruiter Ntuli 15,000 Rand bail, while 3 other young men were released on 5,000 Rand bail each. Prosecutor Peter Erasmus outlines the bail conditions.
All 5 that they do not request their passports back from the investigating officer until finalization of this matter, that they do not apply for fresh travelling documentation or passports until finalisation.
NPA head Shamila Batoyi has distanced herself from the terms of reference of the inquiry looking into Joburg prosecution's boss Andrew Chauker's fitness to hold office. Batoyi says the terms of reference provided by President Cyril Ramaphosa are different to the draft she submitted. She has been cross-examined in the inquiry by Chauker's legal representation today. An inquiry was established by the president after Chauker was accused of making politically motivated prosecutorial decisions. Khomotso Modise has more.
It was NPA boss Shamila Batoyi who lodged a complaint against Joburg prosecution's head Andrew Chauker with President Cyril Ramaphosa, which led to an inquiry into his fitness to hold office. But today, during her testimony, Batoyi distanced herself from the terms of reference published by the president.
We did submit a draft to the president, but what the president adopted subsequently is quite different from the draft, and we didn't input into any draft that the president had. So there is a difference between the two.
While Batoyi has been repeatedly asked to link her allegations against Chauker to the inquiry's terms of reference, Batoyi said she'd not familiarized herself with them. The inquiry now wants to see the draft that Patoe sent to the president to compare it to the terms of reference adopted by the president in order to establish the crux of the allegations against Chauker. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News in Pretoria.
ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says the party suffers from a disease of not implementing its policy resolutions. Ramaphosa has been speaking at the ANC's 5th National General Council, which is taking place at the Birchwood Hotel in Boksburg. The NGC acts as a midterm review of the party's performance since its last elective conference. Tabiso Goba reports.
In his political overview, ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa reflected on the party's wins and losses in government. Some of the wins cited by Ramaphosa is the decrease in load-shedding events and the growth of the economy. He says ANC members deployed to government still need to do more in terms of service delivery.
We should also focus more attention on the implementation of our decisions. For the lack of the implementation of our decisions is a disease that we must rid our organizations and structures, including our government, of.
Ramaphosa has challenged the delegates attending the NGC to come up with creative ways to solve the issues currently facing the country and the ANC. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News, Boksburg.
And President Alassane Ouattara has been sworn in for a 4th term as leader of Ivory Coast after elections in which his 2 main opponents were excluded from the ballot. Ouattara was re-elected with nearly 90% of the vote in the October 25th elections. The president, who has led the Ivory Coast since a violently disputed election in 2010, vowed to loyally defend the constitution at his inauguration. Leaders from 11 African countries attended that ceremony. Gold is trading at $4,209.65 an ounce. The rand is at 16.98 to the dollar, 22.61 to the pound, 19.78 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $63.75 a barrel.
Kyalami accident scene on main road near Zinia, slowing down traffic. Midrand heading towards Centurion. Traffic sluggish N1 northbound between the Patloons Change and Samrand, and we still have slow-moving traffic in Protea Glen on the N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558.
In your sport, the Proteas switched their attention to the T20 series against India. Mohamed Salah reports for training amid claims that Liverpool are trying to push him out. And Lando Norris proud of winning his first Formula One Drivers' Championship his way.
A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with afternoon showers and thundershowers expected. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 15 degrees, peaking at a high of 29. Pretoria 16 and 31 and Vereeniging 15 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has confirmed that while the suspects of the Salsville mass shooting are still at large, authorities now know who they are.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 4. It's good to have you with us on the show. Coming up in the next half an hour or so, some background on that Salsville Tavern shooting. The wider context is some real unhappiness. You may recall there have been a number of mass shootings at taverns, and some of the liquor traders' organizations are actually wanting to engage with government and say there's issues here that need dealing with. We'll address that with one of those associations in just a moment. They're based in the city of Tshwane, where this particular shooting and tragedy took place. So that's coming up shortly on the show. A little bit after that, a conversation around the recall of 18,000 Kia vehicles. That is a huge number of cars, and it comes at a time of the year where I would have thought people need to use their vehicles more than ever. Family holidays are planned, trips to take relatives to visit each other are planned. Other costs have already been incurred. people may find themselves without their vehicles. We'll talk to motoring expert Warren Tucker. What exactly is Kia's capacity to handle a recall on this scale? And if they can't, should people be behind the wheel of these vehicles, or are they simply not safe to drive? Lots of questions. Warren Tucker in to help us find some answers. We've had a lot of voice notes coming in, some of you responding to the ANC conference, and quite a few of you responding to a voice note we played a little bit earlier. Let's take a listen to your thoughts.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, Dr. John. I don't know if they give different portions to females or males. I assume they give the same. But a few years ago, I lived in Cape Town, and whenever I would go out to have like supper or something, I noticed that the portions in Cape Town was significantly smaller than the portions in Joburg. And I remember telling my colleague that, and he didn't believe me because he lived in Cape Town. And one day he had the company, he had a meeting in Joburg, so he came down to Joburg. And when he came back to the office, he was like, no, you are right. The portions in Joburg are way much bigger than the portions in Cape Town. Every time I went out in Cape Town, I had to go past a KFC or McDonald's afterwards because I was still so hungry afterwards. So yeah, I think Joburg has bigger portions than Cape Town. Cheers, great show.
Hey John and your team, this is Patience. Just felt the need to respond to the guy that said Soweto women and Mashangani, they eat a lot of food and they do a mixed masala. He is just stereotyping in a very bad way, because I'm Tonga, which is Shangan by his own definition, and I'm also from Soweto. But what he talked about, really a very construed way of looking at other tribes. We don't eat like that. Maybe he does, and his family and whoever else, but not Tonga people. Definitely, that's a very bad stereotype. Nice show as always. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I must say, quite a couple of other people have expressed their unhappiness with that. Let me share a couple more. Nsundeni says, a guy called and used the word Mashangane. Please, that word is derogatory. It should not be used on radio. Please teach our children to use proper language. And then we've got one more from HJ, who says, I listened to what the previous caller, Khotso from Naledi, and you get a sense of why things are so wrong in this country. To come on radio and say what he said about us Shangan-speaking people is beyond shocking, and people such as him should not be given a platform to air their thoughtless views on platforms such as 702. Any thoughts that you have on that issue or any others, do get in touch. 072 702 1702, 13 minutes past 4.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways, with added holiday flights to Lagos, Accra and Sao Paulo, giving you more choice and better timing. Book today at flysaa.com. I believe we have problems out in Fourways. Don't worry though, because Karabo Chale has some ideas about different routes you can take. Good afternoon.
Well, sure, John. At this stage, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic in the Fourways area. This is on Witkoppen Road between Pritchard and Cedar. I'm afraid you are stuck there if you are about to leave Fourways heading towards Rivonia. The alternative route, I guess, it's using Malibonga Drive and the N1, and then you can get back on Witkoppen Road using Winnie Mandela Drive. In Kyalami, accident scene on Main Road near Zinia causing some delays. In Midrand, traffic is sluggish on the N1 northbound between the Buklu Interchange and Samrand. Rivonia, traffic heavily backed up heading towards Fourways. This is N1 south between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. In Protea Glen, Soweto, traffic pressure N12 westbound between the R554 Abubakar Drive and the R558, and in Isando, Kempton Park, heading towards Bedford View Roadwork, slowing down traffic on the R24 westbound. This is approaching Barbara Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Check in, take your seats, stretch out, sip something special and feel the holiday mood kick in long before you land. At South African Airways, every moment on board is designed to ease you into that holiday feeling. This summer, fly to Gaborone from 2,694 Rand, all-inclusive return, and with an allowance of 3 checked bags, you can take everything you need for the perfect escape. This offer is valid for sale until 31 March 2026. Book at flysaa.com or contact your nearest travel agent. At South African Airways, your holiday starts when your flight does.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Now, just very briefly, speaking of cars and people who drive a lot faster than you or me, just keen to know the end of the Grand Prix season. I have to say, it's not a sport I follow, but I was intrigued to see who would end up as world champion. Pretty pleased that Lando Norris won, but yeah, as I say, don't know much about it, don't follow it with any passion, but I know a lot of you do. What did you make of it? Pleased? Disappointed? Happy with the outcome? Give us a call on that on 072 702 1702, 16 minutes past 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, the terrible shooting out in Salsville took place at an illegal tavern set up in a hostel in that part of Pretoria. Again, this is not the first time there's been this kind of mass shooting at a tavern in Joburg at the start of the year in January. 6 people killed and 6 men killed and 1 woman wounded. There were people killed in Marble Hall in Limpopo in April. In Umlazi, 8 patrons killed, gunmen opening fire inside a tavern. That was in May. And then another shooting out in the Zitubeni area in Bronkhorstspruit in Gauteng. So clearly this is a concern for many sectors of our community, including people who are involved in the liquor trade. Opam Tombeni is with the Concerned Tshwane Liquor Traders Association, and as we understand it, they've been engaging with government around this violence and other incidents as well. Mr. Tombeni, a very good afternoon to you, and thanks for your time. What do you believe the authorities are not doing that they should be doing? Good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, sir. My name is Opam Tombeni.
Yes.
I'm the president of Concerned Tshwane Liquor Traders Association. You know, it is very, very much stressful to see people are dying like this. Whereby we are trying as an association to move around, trying to educate liquor traders to make sure that profit first before, safety first before profit.
Right.
You know, yeah, I'm asking myself, well, I cannot declare it more because of it's an illegal trader, which doesn't have all the regulations of Liquor Act. Because what we need to do, we say people need to understand that we need to have a bouncer, or maybe let me say a security. Whenever everybody enter a place, they must be searched that they don't have weapons. So it shows that it's illegal trading and there's no any requirement that for safety. I've been trying to contact with the senior officers of Tshwane to try to sit down and see what can we do. We cannot allow this to happen anymore. People cannot die in a tavern while they're enjoying themselves. But my concern is that thing happened at 4 a.m. Why should a tavern operate until that day? Because of the law says tavern must close at 2 o'clock. Now, when you jump to open until 4 a.m., see the problems that come. So we need to make sure that as law enforcement and liquor traders to work together to make sure that we close down those illegal trading so that we can save our people, not to listen to happen anymore.
Mr. Mtombeni, I mean, why don't the authorities act against illegal taverns? It's not as if they are moving from place to place, creating pop-up bars. They're in the same place every day, every week, every month. I mean, it shouldn't be a complicated thing to address the problem. Why isn't it being addressed, in your view? Are bribes being paid?
Yeah, I think, I don't, as an association, I don't have powers to close down illegal trading.
Yes.
I'm
not. Sorry, just to be clear, I'm not asking why you haven't done it, but why haven't the police done it? I mean, surely you've asked them for answers.
That's what I'm worried, saying, where was the law enforcement when this thing happened? How can a legal tavern operate for so many years or so many months? Because we need to have a law enforcement that are looking around the illegal trading and those who are trading legal. Now, our job as Concerned One is to try to move around, trying to educate these liquor traders to make sure that they're doing the right thing. Those who are not doing the right thing, I report it to the police. When the police cannot act, there's nothing I can do because I don't have power to close the tavern. But actually, it is not legal trading must not happen. The law enforcement must make sure that there is no legal trading in Gauteng. But when they don't do that, there's nothing you can do. When the law enforcement fails, there's nothing we can do. But it's hard because people are dying in a tavern.
Yes.
And the tavern is illegal. So I'm going to have a meeting with the senior police to say, let's sit down and see how can we work together to make sure that we close down all those illegal tradings.
So, and just a final one for you, Mr. Mtombeni. I take your point that taverns following the law and following the guidelines of associations like your own will have bouncers. But I would imagine if there is a group of gunmen determined to come into a tavern and take lives and act with a high degree of violence, I would think even bouncers would struggle to keep them out.
No, but it is better to have a bouncer in the entrance because before they can take action, the bouncer can see what's going to happen. Because when people come, the bouncers can come and complain and so, or maybe close the gate or the door so that those people cannot have an access. That's why we say safety first before profit.
Thank you so much, Opa Mtombeni, Concerned Tshwane Liquor Traders Association head. If you live, by the way, out in Salsville, perhaps you've got family members there and you've got some take on this tavern that was operating in the hostel, the terrible events over the weekend or anything related to it, please do call us. There's nothing more illuminating than somebody who knows a neighborhood with the kind of granular detail that a regular visitor or resident would be able to share. So if you can help us with that, please do. 072 702 1702, 22 minutes past 4.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Now, our EWN colleague, Alpha Ramoshwane, is actually on two different stories, and we're going to quiz him about both. Alpha, a very good afternoon to you. Let's start, since we've just finished with Mr. Mtombeni, on the Salsville shooting. You were able to hear, I guess, the business end of the press conference that Police Commissioner General Fani Masamula gave. How far are they progressing, if at all, in identifying who might have been responsible for that?
Good afternoon, John. Yes, so we had the briefing by the National Police Commissioner Fani Masamula just near the scene of where that fatal shooting happened on Saturday morning at 4 a.m. And he says that they know who the three shooters are. They know their identities. They've identified them. One of them actually has a quite common surname, which he says is very notorious for crime all across the country. So those three shooters have been identified, but they are still at large as we speak. So they haven't been able to arrest them or locate them. All they know is their identities. And through analyzing some of that firearm evidence, firearm and ballistics evidence, they were able to link them to other crimes. So he says that they now do know who they are. But one of those suspects, John, was recently released on parole. He says that he was released in September and he was arrested for all sorts of crimes. So the one suspect certainly is not new to crime. Fani Masamula saying that one of them also is quite known by the community through their, what he calls a notorious surname. So what the sense that I'm getting here is that these three people who were behind this mass shooting, are not new to crime.
Yeah, and that will raise all sorts of questions at the same time. Now, let's turn to the other bit of breaking news from the South African Police, Alpha, and you've been tracking that as well. This in relation to the murder on Friday outside his Brakpan home of Marius van der Merwe, a person who operated in the security industry but gave evidence at the Madlanga Commission under the name Witness D. Apparently, police have got an update on that as well, and you can share that with us.
That's correct. So police are making a bit of progress in that murder case of Marius van der Merwe, who was known as Witness D at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. No arrests have been made, but they have identified three persons of interest. Now, one of those persons has been taken in for questioning, but I think it's important to highlight that it's not an arrest. It's a person of interest, three of them who possibly could help the police in advancing their murder investigation into the assassination of Marius van der Merwe. So the update that we have from Fanny Masemola right now is that those three persons of interest have been identified. One of them has been taken in for questioning.
And Alpha, I mean, are they just giving us bare details, or is there any indication? The reason I ask this question, any indication of who these people might be? Because on the one hand, Mr. van der Merwe's profile at the Madlanga Commission was a point that got a significant degree of attention. But there's also the possibility that he's someone who was involved in acting against illegal miners, and that was also put forward as a possible strong motive. Any clues from the police, or are they tight-lipped on the why and not just the who?
The police at this moment are really playing their cards close to their chest, really have kept mum about the details of who those three persons of interest are. And what they gave us really was surface level information, so they couldn't divulge who these people are. Of course, they do not want to compromise the investigations at this stage, but they say they are making progress. So for now, all we know is that three persons of interest have been identified, and one of them has been speaking with the police.
Thank you so much, Alpha Ramoshwana. So 2 killings over the weekend, very different in terms of their scale and style of the killings as well. The one clearly a targeted assassination. The other, it would appear there would have been a large number of people caught in the crossfire of something about which they would have had very, very little to do. But either way, lives lost. And as we express condolences for family and friends of people killed in Salsville, we extend similar condolences to the family and friends of the family and friends of Marius van der Merwe, who was murdered outside his Brakpan home in Gauteng. That happened last Friday.
EWN Business.
Right, let's get the very latest business news with Stephen Critters. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you, John. So quite a lot of corporate business news today. And despite not terrible news, actually, the JSE All Share down 1.15%. The other big story, of course, is that the rand is still below 17 rand to the dollar. So the JSE All Share down 1.15%, 111,188 points at the moment. The financials are down 0.47, industrials down 1.16, and then resources down nearly 2% on the day. You'll know the usual reasons for that. Of course, really looking at gold and platinum shares pretty much in the main at the moment. Anglo Gold's actually down 4%, but some of the consumer shares are down too, John. Truworths is down nearly 3%, Pepcor's down 2.69%, Woolies is down 2% on the day. Spar confirming today that their headline earnings per share were down nearly 9%. It made a loss overall because of the way it finally sold its operations in Poland and Switzerland, but overall looking a lot stronger. Its profit from South African operations up by 2.3%. It grew cash generation by 13%. Still a lot of work to do in some areas, but they're up 1.28% on the day. Bidcore up 1.4%, Motus up nearly 2%, and ABSA up 3%. They put up a trading update today saying they expect mid-single digit revenue growth for the second half of their financial year. Their guidance is largely unchanged. Trading revenue continues to grow strongly in the non-interest income sector. Also says that rand appreciation is likely to be a headwind for its group revenue and earnings next year. In other words, it's expecting the rand, it would seem, to be a little stronger. And Optasia up nearly 0.5% on the day. In the US, stock index futures marginally higher. People waiting for the Federal Reserve. They're expecting that rate cut. And of course, no certainty over what's going to be happening with that, and there's still quite a lot of sort of questions around whether or not that will happen. The gold price $4,207.99 an ounce, platinum $1,658.30, Brent crude $62.86, and the rand to the dollar 16.95, to the euro 19.96, to the British pound 22.61. So still below 17 rand to the dollar, John. Obviously, that quite exciting as well, and I imagine that'll give people a lot of optimism. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. Coming up for 4:30 now on 702 Drive. This Eyewitness News is brought to you by Vouch. Hassle-free insurance is possible with your Vouch advisor. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply. Mbali Dlamini is here with the news, which is also a little bit of a weather report because rain is causing problem on the roads, I believe. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. A very good afternoon. Rain is causing some problems, but we begin with police having identified 3 persons of interest in the murder investigation of Marius van der Merwe, a witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. The witness, who appeared at the commission last month under a pseudonym of Witness D, gave testimony about alleged corruption within the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. He alleged that he was asked to dispose of a body by suspended EMPD Chief Julius Mkhwanazi. He was killed outside his home last week in full view of his family. At a media briefing today, National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola said one of the persons of interest in this matter has been taken in for questioning.
It is safe to say investigations are on the right track. The National Joints, together with the Madlanga Commission Security, has met over the last 2-3 days to develop a plan to heighten and enhance security around officials and witnesses linked to the commission.
ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa has talked tough on the organization's renewal, saying it's the only way it can continue to survive. Ramaphosa gave the political overview of the ANC at its 5th National General Council, currently underway at the Birchwood Hotel in Boksburg. The 4-day gathering will review the party's progress to implement resolutions undertaken at its 55th National Elective Conference in 2022, which also included organizational renewal. Ramaphosa's address focused on renewal and the need for the party to rid itself of bad habits, including corrupt members.
If the ANC can demonstrably renew itself, then public attitudes towards our movement will shift from cynicism to possibly cautious optimism. We have to earn that trust through our actions, not our words.
And on the weather front now, the South African Weather Service has issued a yellow level 2 warning for severe thunderstorms in parts of Gauteng. It's outlined the harsh conditions may lead to localized flooding in low-lying areas, causing structural damage. Following damaging hailstorms in parts of the capital recently, the City of Tshwane's emergency service is advising residents to stay indoors where possible. Motorists across the province are also urged to exercise caution and to drive at a safe following distance. Tshwane EMS spokesperson Nana Khatebe-Khiba.
The City of Tshwane has identified areas in high-risk areas in all regions, and the emergency services will remain on high alert while continuously monitoring known flooding hotspots throughout this period.
A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with thundershowers expected, lows of between 15 and 16 degrees and highs of between 29 and 31.
Bumper-to-bumper traffic in ways on Witkoppen Road between Pritchard and Cedar Road. Midrand traffic also sluggish. N1 northbound from the between interchange to Samrand and in Rivonia heading towards Four Ways. Traffic heavily backed up. N1 south between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive.
The top story in EWN, police have identified 3 persons of interest in the murder investigation of Marius van der Merwe, a witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
This is the voice of reason speaking.
But I could sound like this.
Or I could sound like this. Whatever I sound like, I'm saying, listen, Oscar Paiza, this insurance thing. One wrong move and it's not vibes.
That's why you need Vouch.
Someone who gets you and insurance. No spam, no pressure, just honest advice and cover that fits your life.
Because when life happens, you don't have to be the expert.
You just need to know who to turn to. Vouch. Someone on the inside, on your side. Vouch SA is an authorized financial services provider. T's and C's apply.
Africa Milani.
We
Mornings,
4 to 6.
Do you agree with the president that this is an important gathering of the membership of the ANC?
I think that the ANC finds itself at a crossroads at this point in time, and the NGC actually signals the ANC has entered a very crucial phase in its organization.
Hlumelo Xaba, political analyst. The Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, saying that the gathering of the ANC will not discuss leadership changes, saying that President Cyril Ramaphosa will remain in office until the end of his term, with leadership matters reserved for the 2027 National Conference.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries. World-class team of 1,111 with one mission, awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management, skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't, can you afford to enroll? It's, can you afford not to? Enroll now at regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
On 27 November 2025, Salsville listed on the JSE as one of the top 30 most valuable brands in the country, according to Kantar Brand Z 2024. This is a big change for the brand, its customers and investors alike. This week, 702 is in conversation with Salsville, and they will share the reason behind going public, how it will affect you as the customer, what value it brings to the investors, and more. Stay tuned to 702 in conversation with Salsville this Tuesday on The Money Show with Stephen Curtis between 6 and 8 p.m.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours, and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
In the year on a high with instant payment. How, you ask? Well, sell it to We Buy Cars. Simply complete the form on webuycars.co.za, and there you have it. A great offer within minutes. Ready to take it further? Sealing the deal with your dream ride? Explore over 12,000 vehicles on webuycars.co.za. Easy, right? With We Buy Cars, it always is.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. I don't understand this ANC renewal. I wish as South Africans we can actually renew ourselves to actually vote differently in the next election. How does the ANC expect us to believe that they are renewing themselves when the most corrupt people, anyone who's been flagged as corrupt, is given higher positions? Just look at the new candidate for the mayor. Just Google her and then you'll find there is a scandal associated with her. So what's that? What kind of renewal is that? We are tired. We are going to vote differently. Thank you.
Hi, John. I don't understand the Shebeen's opening until 2. It's not acceptable. Shebeen should close at 10 o'clock at least. When are the fathers and the mothers spending time with their families? Really? Surely bars don't close at 2. I don't think so. So Shebeen's must be the same. I mean, you can't have people sitting there at 4 o'clock in the morning. Really, what are they drinking? Or how drunk do they want to become? I mean, that's bad. It's Veronica from Spreadview. Bye-bye.
Hello, John. Great show as always. I always tell my friends that South Africans like alcohol, like taverns, like fun times. And the quickest way to finish them is to catch them at the taverns and where there's liquor. I just wish people could stop drinking and spend time with their families at their homes. It's anonymous.
Yeah, thank you for all those. Just to say, by the way, in regard to the new chairperson of the Joburg region, the greater Joburg region of the ANC, Loyiso Masuku, I mean, you did say Google her, and I have Googled her. She was previously accused of involvement in a PPE corruption scandal at the height of COVID, but this sentence, I think, is key in the News 24 report on that. And says she was subsequently cleared of any wrongdoing related to a PPE contract worth 125 million rand that investigators determined had been irregularly awarded. So I think it's just very important to clarify these kinds of things. I have no idea whether if she were to become mayor, she would be a particularly good mayor. But clearing that up, I think, certainly setting the bar rather high to simply say someone has been involved in scandals. Because what does that actually mean? You could be involved in a scandal in the sense that you were accused of something scandalous. So in that sense, you are involved in it. But I think the crucial thing is, where was it ever proved that you did it? So that's where I'm coming from on that one, 20-5.
EWN Sport.
Right, let's get the very latest sports news. Tolakela, a quick one. Did you have any skin in the game in the Grand Prix Decider on Sunday? Did you have a horse in the race?
Not at all, John. I was just like anyone but Max Verstappen. That's all I really cared about.
So you did have two horses in the race because only two people could have beaten him. So cricket is where we start.
Absolutely, John. And that's where David Miller has recovered from a hamstring injury and is back for the Proteas 5-match T20 series against India that starts tomorrow. It'll be his first T20 overs games in a year, with the series forming part of the team's preparations for next year's World Cup. And with a raft of new faces staking their claim in the squad, Miller has discussed his evolving role in the side.
I think now I'm a lot more in control with my emotions, the pressure, very aware of match situations. At the end of the day, you can have all the experience, but you still got to do the job. So all the experience becomes nothing if you're not doing the job. So first prize is getting the job done. But in that process, I think I'm a lot clearer in my thinking, making better decisions under pressure and understanding the match situation.
FIFA have confirmed that the Pride match during the World Cup next year will involve two countries where homosexuality is illegal. The 26 June fixture between Egypt and Iran will form part of celebrations for the LGBTQ plus community in Seattle. It's the second time a World Cup will host such an initiative after the 2022 tournament saw players wearing the One Love armband in support of gay rights. At the same time, Adeslam Wadu insists that Mbegezeli Mbogazi's move to the MLS's Chicago Fire will not stunt his growth. The defender played his last game for Orlando Pirates on Saturday as he captained the team to their calling knockout final win over Marumo Gallants.
He did the job. I don't have nothing to say. Nobody can speak to him. It's the normal evolution of a professional football player. He's going to US, going to improve and to keep evaluating, and never forget Orlando Pirates. Never forget Orlando Pirates, and never forget the national team. It's not because he go to US that he need to stop improving and to make efforts. Think to Orlando Pirates and think to your nation. Think to the national team. Very important.
Mikel Arteta says Arsenal will not panic after defeated Aston Villa saw Manchester City close the gap at the top of the Premier League. The Gunners' 2-1 loss at Villa Park was followed by City beating Sunderland 3-0 to trim their advantage to 2 points, while Villa are just a point further back in third.
Well, it's been 5 months in the competition, and so far we've coped. We're going to have to prove that we can cope again for another 6 months. That's the level. If you think you're going to be in this moment with 10 points clear, I think we live in a different world.
And the Springboks 7 successfully defended their Cape Town title after edging Argentina 21-19 in a hard-fought final on Sunday afternoon. The Blitzboks are now joined top of the standings on 32 points with Fiji. That's after 2 rounds of the series. Tolakela Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Problems still out in four-ways. Karabo Chali has the update.
Yeah, bumper traffic in the four-ways area. This is on Cedar Road between Pritchard and Cedar Road. There's also slow-moving traffic in Rivonia heading towards four-ways. N1 South from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive. Midrand traffic sluggish N1 northbound between the Petlu Interchange and Samrand, while in Hurlingham driving towards Bryanston. There's slow-moving traffic on Winnie Mandela Drive between Sterling and Republic, and in Isando, Kempton Park roadwork still slowing down traffic on the R24 westbound approaching Barbara Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The roads just aren't the same without the Outsurance Pointsmen, like carols by candlelight without the carols. But even the Outsurance Pointsmen need some time off this festive season. They'll be on leave from 12 December, but don't stress, they'll be back on the roads, easing the New Year's traffic congestion from 9 January 2026. The Outsurance Pointsmen, getting you there quickly and safely for the past 20 years. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So there's still quite a few shopping days before Christmas, but some people I know are already planning their menus, working out what they need to buy, trying to beat the rush, making sure they get stock of things that are sometimes hard to find when the shops start getting full and people start using their trolleys as battering rams to get to those items that are becoming quite scarce. So, simple question. What do you prepare on Christmas? If it's a holiday that you celebrate, do you have the same menu every year, and has that changed over the years? Give us a call on that. Cooking well in advance? Do you do some chefing on the day? Or is it just simply fire up the fire and see what you can do while you have a couple of drinks and chat to your friends? Everybody does it their way. I'd like to know what yours is. Call us, please, on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. Tolakele, same thing every year. Do you have traditions, or do you guys make it up as each Christmas arrives?
We make it up as each Christmas arrives. We have a different sector of our family hosting. They'll be the ones that tell us what to bring, what desserts they'd like, because you kind of have the prerogative as the host family to decide on the menu, and the rest of us are just joining you. The only thing is, as the costs have gotten more, you bring a salad and money, because you're spending so much money on the meat and the other things.
Yes.
So in order to help whoever's hosting, we bring a salad and money to make it easier for them.
Yeah, it's an interesting dimension you're adding there. That's, it's not just the menu, but who's going to do what, spread the financial load and shift the work a little bit around. So more and more people do it. How about in the Chale household? What do you guys do?
So in my side of the family, we usually have like this get together of cousins and family members where we have a braai and we just chill and talk and catch up. And then at my partner's side, they have it a bit different, which I actually kind of enjoy it because the food is more nicer. It's prepared. They make that, I don't know, what is it called? That dessert where they put chocolate and then they put ice cream and then they put tennis biscuits, and then they just stack it up. I think it's a truffle.
I wish this was trifle, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's a trifle.
Anyway, the look Tolakele is giving you is...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then they put all these goodies, chocolates and stuff, and I enjoy it because I just binge on it. I just eat the whole day.
As you became part of the family,
Yes.
did you notice they were like increasing the quantities and getting ready for the Chale assault on the tennis biscuit chocolate?
Yeah, tennis biscuit.
Isn't it a peppermint tart?
No, well, you could call it whatever you call it, but I think it's a truffle.
Call it what you like. He's going to eat it. Trifle, maybe. Trifle?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, what do you cook on Christmas? Has it changed? And if there is, as there always is, some kind of financial burden on the hosts, what ideas have you come up with for, sharing and making it fair and contributing? Or maybe you take a different view and say, it's my one big thing of the year. Other family members or friends host it different times, but on the 25th of December, I'm the one, and I put on a real show. Yeah, we're all different in different kinds of relationships. So always enjoy hearing your stories as the day draws closer. It doesn't quite feel like the end of the year yet, probably because it's not. But, they say horses can smell the stables when they get close and they start running a little bit quicker. I'm not a very good horse rider, but the first time I found it out was on one of my many rare rides on horseback. Suddenly the horse that was going on at a speed I could manage suddenly picked up speed, and that was the explanation. Anyway, your thoughts please on 072-702-1702. It's 11 minutes to 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, we've had vehicle recalls quite a lot this year, and I don't know if that's due to greater vigilance or problems in the places where the vehicles are made. The largest of these announced today, there's a small one involving 323 Jeep Wranglers sold between 2016 and 2018. But Kia South Africa is recalling 18,600 vehicles across 5 models. The sales period 2009 to 2015, so definitely older vehicles, and they include the Sportage, both SL and KM, the Soul AM, the Sorento XM, Optima TF, and Cerato TD. So what's going to happen next? Because I would have thought with a recall on this scale, I cannot imagine that Kia has the capacity if everybody decides to come in at once. But here's someone who would know better. Warren Tucker, you know him well on 702, motor enthusiast and vehicle reviewer. Warren, welcome and thanks for your time. That is a lot of vehicles. If people say, oh my goodness, I'm about to go on holiday, I hear it's to do with the brakes, which is always a matter of significant concern, faulty ABS fuses that need immediate replacement. What kind of capacity does Kia have to deliver if people start streaming in?
To your earlier point, John, I recall us having this conversation earlier this year.
Yes.
With a different manufacturer.
Indeed.
Well, look, what normally happens when the manufacturers come out, well, in this case, when the National Consumer Commission comes out, there's been talks had in the background with the manufacturers, right, with regards to the recall before they go public with it.
Right.
Right. And then what they've got is they've got these very clever people that will work out, well, if we go out there, out to market with this and people start bringing their vehicles in, approximately how many vehicles do you think we're going to get in? So they'll have a couple of forecast models and they'll plan around that. Because remember, a dealership will always, they won't fix the car as you bring it in. You'll have to make a booking. There needs to be time. So the person that needs to have the stock is the factory or the warehouse where all the parts are kept. And then from there, it will filter down to the dealers as and when you bring the vehicles in. They must also know how many vehicles most probably are still in the system, vehicles on the road. I mean, from 2009,
right.
That's a very long time ago. So they hedge their bets, and they'll hedge their bets that way. As far as the Stellantis group goes, they've got a smaller number. It's 323, right? Again, they would have a forecast as to how many of those vehicles should still be on the road, right? And they would plan then around that. And again, it's booking the vehicle in, vehicle comes in, they will order the part gets changed, and you're on your way, and they'll go according to that.
So, Warren, I mean, what are ABS fuses? ABS is anti-lock braking systems.
Yes.
I only know that because it's on a piece of paper in front of me. I don't know their significance in the operation of the car, but whenever I hear brakes, I do sort of get a little concerned.
Okay, so short background on it. ABS is an anti-lock braking system. When you step on the brakes quite hard, it stops the wheels from locking up.
Okay.
It first made an appearance on the S-Class Mercedes-Benz many years ago, and then filtered down to all the vehicles that are on the road today. So in this situation, there's a fuse, and as you know, a fuse is on your power supply line. And if that fuse is not supplying power, right, or is faulty, right, your ABS brakes could when you need them, they might not be available to you. They might not have power on the line, and basically they won't work.
Mm-hmm.
So what they are saying is, this fuse is faulty. We found that it's faulty, so we will change it out for another one. They've also indicated that there's a chance that this fuse might damage the engine bay. In English, it might catch a light.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. They're saying bring the car in, and we'll change it for you.
It's a very difficult time of year. I mean, I do note what you're saying, that, you know, given the window in which these vehicles were sold, a lot of them may not be out on the roads. But this is the time of year where South Africans need every car they can lay their hands on. In other words,
Definitely.
family members are heading off on holidays. So if you've got, for example, a Kia Sportage, okay, it's 2015, but we've had it for ages, no problem, and we were all going to get in as a family and head off to the North Coast. This is not good news. I mean, would there be any prioritizing of people who are planning longer trips? I mean, and could people safely, and from what you've just said, it doesn't sound like it's a choice I would want to make, but could people say, listen, we have no time, we're leaving on Friday?
To be honest with you, I would rather just contact the dealer.
Yeah.
Right. Go to the dealer. Look, the fuse is a lot easier to change than the clock spring on the Jeep. The Jeep, you've got to take the steering wheel off.
Right.
You've got to remove the part. The fuse could take all of 5 minutes to change.
Okay. Well, that's good news.
On where it is in the engine bay. So I think as far as Kia goes, I think there you kind of okay. But the side where Jeep is, that's a little bit more involved. There's a little bit more time that needs to be allocated to stripping the vehicle and changing the part. So the Jeep guys, different story.
Yes.
The Kia, I'm sure if you're at the dealership for more than 10 minutes, it's a long time.
Yeah, look, I mean, that is good news. Warren, finally, let's step back for a moment and ask you this. I mean, what are these recalls telling us? I would have thought, I mean, just instinctively, if this is a problem in vehicles, some of which were sold as many as 16 years ago, that it would already be manifesting. Is that how they find out about the problem, that an increasing number of people, and maybe there's a kind of an auditing or what's the word, stats treatment that says, hang on a bit, we're seeing a bit too many of these, maybe we have a structural issue. But what are we learning from all of this?
So you kind of hit the nail on the head there. What tends to happen is remember, a new vehicle might change its face, but underneath there might be parts used, and they're used continuously, okay? Now, the world, if you look back before, if you drove, for example, if you bought a BMW, you were driving a BMW. If you bought a Toyota, you were driving a Toyota manufactured vehicle. But today, the manufacturers design vehicles alongside each other to save costs. Then they get a company that manufactures a certain part to manufacture for both of them, for both of the vehicles.
Right.
Right? And since the world has decided to put all its eggs in one basket and outsource its manufacturing to one side of the world, you're going to keep on getting this because, right, you've got a specification that you're giving someone, but you're telling them to mass produce it. And when you mass produce anything, there is a failure rate. I mean, you can look at the Takata airbag thing.
Yes,
those are vehicles going as far back as 2006, right? And I mean, that company just folded, and the manufacturers were left holding the bag, having to sort that thing out. So we put ourselves in the situation with the way that things are going on. I mean, I can remember there was an article I read many, many years ago where the then CEO of Mercedes-Benz said, our cars are made too well. And then they started watering down their brand after that, right? So stuff like that happens in the industry because at the end of the day, they've got to be competitive. They've got to be out there in the market, but they've also got to be profitable.
So Warren, we've got a question from a listener. It's a quickie, and if you could be nice and quick in your response, let's hear it.
Hi, John. Just a quick question. So the fact that Kia have announced this and they've said the recall, does this absolve them from any incidents that do take place during this period?
Yeah, I was going to say, a quick question, maybe a complicated answer. Warren, over to you.
Yeah, that one's got a bit of a complicated answer.
Yes.
To it. Look, the manufacturer is coming out and saying, we know there's this problem. Sorry, our bad, but here's the fix. That's kind of what they're saying.
Yeah.
So I think it would go case by case there, but yeah, trying to go after the manufacturer after they've come out and said that there's a recall, it's nothing is going to come of it.
Warren, thank you so much. I'm sure there's a more detailed answer, but end of our time with Warren Tucker, but some really great insights there, and we thank him for that. Motor enthusiast and vehicle reviewer. Maybe you're listening to this as a lawyer and you've got a view. Please weigh in, 072 702 1702.
Some numbers bring instant stress, like a speeding fine, another petrol price hike, or that one debit order you forgot about, again. But not all numbers bring panic. Some bring calm and actual life-saving support. With 24/7 emergency support and over 300 ambulances, ER24 is there when you need us most. Don't wait for an emergency. See it, say it, save it. 084 124.
LLB graduates can fast-track their legal career with the Law Society of South Africa's PVT School for Legal Practice. LPC accredited, this 4-month practice-ready course, which is taught by practicing lawyers, can reduce your PVT contract by 12 months for admission. Study by day, after hours, or via distance at campuses nationwide. The first 2026 intake runs from January to April. Applications close 31 October 2025. Apply now at lssalead.org.za. That's lssalead.org.za.
Naked people never skip leg day because naked people spend less time on insurance admin and more time at the gym. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP.
You're invited to be a part of Clement Manyatela's 702 family meeting this Wednesday morning. Join us for a year-end review of the top news stories of 2025. Be part of the studio audience and take part in the conversation with 702 presenters and EWN reporters. If you'd like to attend, email us at contact@702.co.za. We're looking forward to walking the talk with you.
This is EWN.
Police say they know the identities of the Pretoria mass shooters, and alleged Russia war recruiters have been granted bail. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has confirmed that while the suspects in the Salsville mass shooting are still at large, authorities now know who they are. A manhunt is underway for 3 men who staged an attack at a tavern and a hostel on Saturday morning, killing 12 people, including 3 minors. In total, 25 people were shot, with some survivors still receiving treatment in hospital. Speaking at a media briefing near the scene of the shooting today, Masemola confirmed that the suspects have been identified.
We do have an idea of what may have led to this incident. However, intelligence is still gathering and analyzing information that has been received. In no time, we are confident we will find 3 suspects, which we do have an idea who they are.
The Kempton Park Magistrates Court has granted bail to 5 suspects arrested on allegations of luring South Africans to fight in the Russia-Ukraine war. Police arrested the group about 2 weeks ago as they were about to board a flight to Russia following a tip-off. They include 2 suspected recruiters, the first an SABC employee, Nonkululeko Mantula, and 46-year-old Xolani Ntuli. The recruits, aged between 21 and 24, were set to join the Russian forces in contravention of the Foreign Military Assistance Act. Today, the court granted Mantula 30,000 rand bail and her co-accused Ntuli 15,000 rand bail, while 3 other young men were released on 5,000 rand bail each. Prosecutor Peter Erasmus outlined the bail conditions.
All 5 that they do not request their passports back from the investigating officer until finalization of this matter, that they do not apply for fresh travelling documentation or passports until finalization.
NPA boss Shamila Batoyi has admitted that she did not read the docket into former KZN Hawks head Johan Boyson and his Cato Manor unit before withdrawing racketeering charges against them. Batoyi was cross-examined this morning at the inquiry looking into Joburg prosecution's head Andrew Chauker's fitness to hold office. One of the allegations is that Chauker improperly decided to prosecute Boyson with no evidence justifying the decision. Batoyi claims Chauker's prosecutorial decisions were politically motivated. Khomotso Modise reports.
In addition to admitting that she'd not familiarized herself with the terms of reference of the inquiry, NPA head advocate Shamila Batoyi told the court that she'd not read the docket into former Hawks head Johan Boysen's racketeering case when she decided to withdraw the charges. Chauker's legal representative, advocate Tembeka Ngcukaitobi, further probed her on this question.
But you have come to say to the panel there was no case against Major General Boysen without ever having read the docket. Can I suggest that that is an astonishing proposition coming from the head of our prosecution service? And I'm going to tell the panel that at the end, that your evidence must be rejected as incredible, because it is irresponsible to make such a claim without having read the docket.
Batoyi insists there is case law that says national directors are not expected to read every single bit of evidence and every docket in cases. She says she relied on legal opinion and a report from the panel that she'd appointed. Khomzo Modise, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
We shift our focus to this now. The bad blood between alliance partners, the ANC and the South African Communist Party, came to a head this afternoon when the SACP's Deputy General Secretary, Madala Masuku, was repeatedly jeered by the ANC members while giving a speech at the organization's 5th National General Council. There has been friction between the partners since the SACP announced it will contest elections alone and no longer under the ANC banner. The NGC is currently underway at the Birchwood Hotel in Boksburg. It acts as a mid-term review of the ANC's progress to implement resolutions adopted at its 55th elective conference in 2022. Tabiso Koba is there.
One of the resolutions adopted at the ANC's 55th elective conference in 2022 was a reconfiguration of the alliance. However, that has not come to fruition, and as a result, the South African Communist Party took a decision last year to contest elections alone. When the SACP's Deputy General Secretary Madala Masuku was delivering his party's message of support, he was repeatedly jeered by the delegates, with ANC Chairperson Gwede Mantashe having to intervene.
Comrades, there must be order. Listen to what Comrade Masuku is going to say. You are in the NGC of the ANC. This is not acceptable.
Masuku eventually addressed the delegates on the decision of the SACP to contest the elections alone.
The decision to contest elections is not to contest the ANC. The decision to contest election is contestation of election. And this matter, comrade, is a very critical matter, because it has to do with the existential being of the party. Because if the party cannot introduce socialism as a path, its existence will mean nothing.
Masuku says the SACP still remains committed to the alliance. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Boksburg.
And President Alassane Ouattara has been sworn in for a 4th term as leader of the Ivory Coast after elections in which his 2 main opponents were excluded from the ballot. Ouattara was re-elected with nearly 90% of the vote in the October 25th elections. The president, who has led the Ivory Coast since a violently disputed election in 2010, vowed to loyally defend the constitution at his inauguration today. Leaders from 11 African countries attended the ceremony. Gold is trading at $4,209.63 an ounce. The rand is at 16.98 to the dollar, 22.61 to the pound, 19.78 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $63.75 a barrel.
Fourways expect about a 20-minute delay on Winnie Mandela Drive. This is between the N1 and Broad Acres Drive. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic traveling through Sandton. This is on the M1 northbound between Ethel Oakland and the Batlu Interchange, and in Isando, Kempton Park Roadwork still slowing down traffic on the R24 westbound approaching Barbara Road.
In your sport, the Proteas switched their attention to the T20 series against India. Mohammad Salah reports for training amid claims that Liverpool are trying to push him out. And Lando Norris proud of winning his first Formula One Drivers' Championship his way.
A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with thundershowers expected. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 15 degrees, peaking at a high of 29. Pretoria 16 and 31, and Vereeniging 15 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has confirmed that while the suspects in the Salsville mass shooting are still at large, authorities now know who they are.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 5. Boy, we had a little storm earlier and now the sun is shining. Certainly in that part of Gauteng where I live, very, very nice weather indeed. I love these sunny end of the days in summer when it's been a little bit rainy, but the sun has finally come out. Hope your journey home is a relatively smooth one. If you've got some issues that you want to share with us in regard to traffic flow, some tips about roads to avoid or problem spots, please do share them with us on 072 702 1702. And we'd also like to get your thoughts on the big stories of the day as well. ANC having its National General Council over the next 5 days out at the Birchwood Hotel, familiar venue for these gatherings. And we will be getting an overview of what might happen over the next 5 days. What are the bigger questions that the ANC faces? Ferial Haffajee, Associate Editor at Daily Maverick, will join us for that. Coming up before that, though, we're going to go back on a story that really did exercise us, South Africa's being uninvited, disinvited, snubbed, use whatever word you like, but South Africa not invited to the first G20 gathering of the year, a Sherpas meeting that is being held in preparation for the US taking over the presidency of that multilateral body. We'll get the views of Scott Fersing, who is an analyst and an expert on that. He's with us shortly. A lot of your views on various things. We asked you what your regular thing is for Christmas lunch, and has that changed for a while? Quite a few of you responding to that Kia recall, 18,600 vehicles being recalled if you bought from a range of Kia models between 2009 and 2015. The good news from Warren Tucker we spoke to earlier, and you can pick up our interview with him, by the way, on primemediaplus.com. Good news from Warren Tucker is that this should be quick. It is a fuse that needs replacing. So, yeah, give us a call on that. A couple of you have called in on that subject already. Let's take a listen.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, for us it's the same every year, and it has been my whole life. I think it's literally what I've had for over 50 years. We have a roast turkey, roast potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, gravy, pigs in blankets, those little sausages wrapped up in bacon, and vegetables. The only thing we've changed is I grew up with Brussels sprouts, and I finally, in my 30s, my sister and I told Mum that we thought Brussels sprouts were revolting, and we've changed to butternut and creamed spinach.
Good afternoon, Tate John and the team. The ANC has been renewing itself for such a long time. I think it's about time they start to recycle themselves. There's a big difference between the two. They must go and get recycled so that they can come back totally different. They continuously renewing, but die. Instead of renewing, they're actually getting worse. They must go and get recycled. Matt Jamestown.
Hi, Bob John Volicate. It's Mali here. Listening to Ramaphosa. I'm sorry for not calling him President Ramaphosa. Okay. Listening to Ramaphosa saying ANC, they need to renew themselves. Like what hogwash is that? Like, it's just like a bunch of those cash in transit missionaries, those guys, sitting together and be like, hey guys, I think we need to renew ourselves. We must change what we're doing as cash in transit thugs. So let's renew ourselves. So what are they going to do? These guys, they're just taking us for a ride. They renew themselves from what? They are renewing themselves from what?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll come to all of that a little bit later when we have a longer chat to Ferial Hafaji. But I mean, I think the idea of renewal is to say, I don't think there's a problem with the concept of renewing. You're on the wrong track, and people do that in business. Sports teams do it, and they say, listen, what we're doing doesn't work anymore. We're not winning. The question is, and I take your point, you can't keep saying we're going to renew ourselves if the evidence would suggest that the previous round of renewal hasn't produced much of a dividend. Give us your views on that as well, please, on 072 702 1702. 14 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
Traffic time. Sandton is a little bit jammed. We'll find out where and why. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie.
Yeah, heading towards Midrand, leaving the Sandton area. You can expect about a 20-minute delay. This is on the M1 northbound between Ethel Oaklands and the Butlu interchange. Not yet clear what's causing this massive delay at this time of the afternoon. So please let us know if you have any idea. If you're on that route, WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702. In Isando, Kempton Park, roadworks are still slowing down traffic on the R24 westbound. That's approaching Barbara Road. In four ways, expect about a 20-minute delay on Winnie Mandela Drive from the N1 to Broad Acres Drive. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic in the area on Witkoppen Road between Pritchard and Cedar Road. Rivonia traffic heavily backed up on the N1 southbound from the Butlu interchange to Winnie Mandela Drive. And in Midrand, traffic is sluggish on the N1 northbound. That's heading towards Pretoria between the Butlu interchange and Samarand. If you come across any other traffic issues, remember you can also SMS us on 31702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like a businesswoman on the way to the airport after sleeping through her alarm. Bags in the back, boarding pass on the dashboard. She prays she'll make her flight.
Hope I make it.
The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's the potential closing of a big deal. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005. In proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
ANC NGC coming up a little bit later, but let's pay some attention now to a story that we spoke a lot about last week. South Africa not being invited to the first event, the first activity under the presidency, the G20 presidency of the United States. It would seem the intention of the US is to continue not including South African G20 activities. We had quite a lot of South African perspectives. We thought we'd get one from the US. So we welcome to the show Dr. Scott Fersing. He is a senior research associate at the Institute for Global Dialogue, a Republican Party politician, and he joins us on the line from Texas. Dr. Fersing, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time. Is that pretty much it, that South Africa has not been included? The US has indicated an intention to continue down that particular road. Is this pretty much done and decided?
Yeah, John, it seems like, thank you again for having me. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And I think kind of the point your listeners were making earlier about renewal of the ANC, I think all the sense I get from speaking to diplomats and people this side is that just they've had enough of the ANC and this idea of renewal and the relationship between the U.S. and South Africa. We've been talking about this for basically the whole year of 2025. And man, what a year it's been. I think this is just culminating to where we're at the moment. And all indications is that I don't see U.S.-South African relations getting better anytime soon, unfortunately.
So is there any difference at all between the perhaps more public and sometimes performative space, Dr. Fersing, of gatherings and meetings and summits and all of that kind of thing, and the behind-the-scenes discussion about whether America's going to buy our clementines and apples and platinum, and if so, at what price?
Yeah, there's the spats, the diplomatic spats on X or Twitter that we see that gets all the headlines and the clickbait. And there's trade in everything behind the scenes, like you mentioned, on agriculture and mining is still ongoing. We've seen, I was just looking at the trade figures for the since January till now, and they are down slightly, but there's a lot of trade negotiations that are non-ALCOA that see trade that is still ongoing. There's still record American numbers of Americans visiting South Africa and going to Cape Town and going to Kruger, all that fun stuff, especially with that nice weather you've been talking about there, John. So that is all ongoing in the background with business and those people-to-people relations.
Why is the US so exercised with South Africa? When I look at the members of the G20, there are countries involved in abuse of their citizens themselves. And of course, the debate in South Africa is whether the characterization of South African politics and policies is an accurate one. Presumably, the US is not going to pick a fight with Saudi Arabia. There's too much money flowing both ways. But I mean, why the particular focus on South Africa? Some people here, some are outraged, but many are also just puzzled.
Yeah, there's frustrations. I mean, even going back to Trump 1, just frustrated with where South Africa is at the moment and where the country is as a whole in the moment. I think they could have been at a much higher level, lower unemployment rate, bigger GDP numbers, and because of some of ANC's policies like BEE and that inhibited trade. It's frustrating for American businessmen and politicians. Of course, you got people like Elon Musk, and there's talks about Starlink. How you'd like to have Starlink operating in South Africa, but because of BEE, that's not the case now. It looks like that's not going to happen. But then you got Namibia and other countries where there's negotiations taking place. So there's that kind of frustration going on between the two. And then there's America's is focused on other places. So they just had the Washington Accord signed last week in D.C. between the Congo and Rwanda with Kenya's help. So they're looking at business deals. That America First foreign policy hasn't changed much this whole year. And it's all about metals and rare earths, the things that are beneficial to the American economy.
I mean, I'd love to believe, and I have to take issue with this, Dr. Fersing, that people in Washington are deeply disappointed with South Africa and would love to see things going better. But I think it's fair to say, and the record would show this, that the US does not act on every single country in whom they may feel disappointment. So I guess my question still sits there, in my view, a little bit unanswered. I mean, why this very specific focus on South Africa, and particularly around using a multilateral forum in which the US is one voice of 20 to actually make the point?
Yeah, no, the crosshairs are definitely on South Africa. Now, there is quite a big South African expat community that's been influential in Florida and went with Trump for, I mean, going back to even 10, 20 years. So that there's been that kind of mindset in Trump's mind. And Rubio, of course, has always been very hawkish on China and concerned with Russia, his foreign policy stance. The U.S. foreign policy community under Trump now is extremely small. So when you've got only a certain number of people focused on a certain topic, they just keep nailing that nail with their hammers. And South Africa, unfortunately, is that nail right now. So they're just going strictly at them. And of course, South Africa, diplomatically, they come back on X, and we've seen those fights back and forth between Lamola and Rubio. So adds fuel to the fire, and that just keeps escalating. It's kind of like a bad fight between a husband and wife that keeps escalating. You probably need a little calming down period, some new blood, and it doesn't help that there's no personal diplomacy. I think last time we spoke, you need ambassadors, you need people to get face to face to have those negotiations. And when you're talking through social media, and that's definitely not the best way to communicate. Get the positive things done.
Thanks so much. And you're not the first person to make that point, possibly not the last as well. Dr. Scott Fersing, Senior Research Associate at the Institute for Global Dialogue, Republican politician on the line to us from Texas. We thank him for his time.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
23 minutes past 5 now. Let's get the some thoughts now on the ANC's National General Counsel. Ferial Haffajee, Associate Editor at Daily Maverick, has been writing on that today and joins us now. Ferial, good afternoon and welcome. How important a gathering is this? There is a suggestion that some of our listeners have, and I think Juanita Hunter has suggested the same thing in a piece on News 24 headlined, The ANC addicted to diagnosis, allergic to treatment. Is this kind of Groundhog Day out in Birchwood where the same things get said and the same rumors fly and then, come next Monday back to a business that would appear to be doing not very well?
It's the fifth National General Council, John, and Connie was right. Is the party is excellent at diagnosing what's wrong. Making it right is, of course, a whole different kettle of fish. I've just been going through what it calls its base document, and the honesty in it is not something that you often see in political party manifestos. I could read some of it if you're interested, but I find it really interesting of how the ANC has diagnosed where it finds itself as it lost the 2024 election, first time that's happened, and how it intends to rebuild itself.
I'm interested to know, does the diagnosis include exactly what Juanita has suggested? And I'm not trying to be circular here, but one of our problems they could have diagnosed is that we analyze to a very high level of honesty, as you've just noted, our problems, but we do not have the political will, and that when we come up with a remedy, we wield it in partisan, factional and partial ways, if we ever wield it at all.
Well, that's not written on the document, but what is things like, on the other hand, due to poor governance performance in recent years, high-profile corruption and incoherence in our messaging, the ANC's once legendary moral and intellectual dominance in society has sharply diminished, and so it goes. It doesn't. It certainly doesn't gloss over things. But then when you go there, you sit and then you see the former police minister Becky Cele sitting there, and we know what came up at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. You see many people like the former minister Faith Mutambi, who's still an MP and highly implicated in state capture years, along with Mr. Mosebenzi Zwane. All of them sitting there still like cadres of the movement, much further back in the room, it has to be said. But I think it shows you that it's really difficult for the ANC to tackle corruption in the ways that it says it wants to.
Well, you could say it's very difficult to tackle corruption in the way they tackle corruption, but that's something we can come back to if we have a moment. But Ferrell, before I forget this, you wrote very interestingly today about the question of some kind of leadership shake-up, because it was the subject of a fair amount of weekend press speculation. Well, what's your take on that now? You wrote that probably in the wee hours. We're another 7 or 8 hours into the day. Give us your latest thoughts.
Look, we'll see until on Thursday when the National General Council ends. But just being there today, I thought this was going to be one of those unity National General Councils, and I certainly didn't see the kind of concerns or the ways people would express resistance to their leadership or suggest to you that a plot to remove President Cyril Ramaphosa as imminent, not at all. And I looked across every single one of the provincial delegations, because they sit in very clearly marked provinces. It did seem that this is going to be a show of unity, and that is because the ANC lost the election last year and does realize how much trouble it's in.
And just finally, we know how much trouble they're in. Do you see anything fundamentally changing that might improve their prospects for local government 2026?
Look, there's a lot in the document that's really interesting. They talk about activating what they call the black middle strata, which is the black middle class again, which they say the ANC has lost as a very core part of what's always been its membership. There are interesting ideas on the economy. None of it, as Mondli Makanya wrote yesterday, anything new. What we do need to see in the next year, and the ANC does admit, I wish I could find that part for you, is that because of what's happened at local government elections, that's where its biggest problem lies. That's its Achilles heel. And obviously we're seeing many interventions specifically in the city. So I do think it's going to be more of that over the next year.
Thanks very much, Ferrell Hafferty, with some thoughts from out of the Birchwood Hotel on the ANC's NGC, 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
Stephen Critter, so first day of the week, done and dusted in terms of South African trade. Markets open in the US and the money show on its way in 32 minutes' time. All over to you.
Good afternoon, John. Yes, well, the JSE All Share, I'm afraid, not starting the week in the best way. Down 1.47% at the end of the day, 110,827 points. Financials down 0.91. Industrials down 1.32. Resources down nearly 2.5%, John. Gold's lost a fair amount. It's fallen below $4,200 in the last little while, and I'm afraid the rand has weakened a little bit against the dollar as well, so back past that 17 rand to the dollar mark. Now, the main stories of the day, I suppose, probably SPAR confirming their headline earnings per share down nearly 9%, made a loss overall because of the way it sold its operations in Poland and Switzerland, but overall, sort of looking beneath that, its operations looking a lot stronger. Profit from South African operations up 2.3%, cash generation up by 13%. As a result, it ended the day up 2%. ABSA up 2.5%. They said they expect mid-single-digit revenue growth for the second half of the financial year. Their guidance is largely unchanged. Trading revenue continues to grow stronger, also expecting a stronger rand next year, and they're ending quite nicely. Karoo up 2.5% as well, and Sasol up 2% on the day. Capitec spending 400 million rand on the payment platform Wallet Doc. The company provides payment gateway solutions for merchants. Capitec says that'll help it lower the cost of payments for customers. John, we've seen Optasia being listed on the JSE. There's going to be a lot of movement in the whole payment section, the way that payments are made over the next 10 years, and banks sort of getting ready for that. Gold and platinum shares down. Anglo Gold down 4.5% almost. Goldfields down 3.69%. Harmony down 3%. And then some of the consumer shares, Truworths down 2.99%, Pepkor down 2.6% as well. Woolies, last time I looked, also down on the day. In the US, things really mixed. Still all about interest rate expectations. We'll finally get a decision this week, and not helped by the uncertainty over what the US President Donald Trump will do in terms of a replacement for Jerome Powell. So the Dow Jones is down 0.23%, the Nasdaq is up 0.16%, the S&P 500 is down 0.05%. And just while we're in the States, John, I don't know if you saw last week Netflix making that 72 billion $72 billion offer for Warner Brothers Discovery, and now today Paramount offering over $100 billion. So a real shift there. Getting very, very interesting to watch that one play out. The gold price $4,180.70 an ounce. Platinum $1,647.84. Brent crude $62.79. The rand to the dollar, 17.05 to the euro, 19.81 to the British pound, 22.69. On the Money Show, the CEO of SPAR will speak to Nampak as well on their results. They seem to have made quite a strong recovery. We'll look at what's happening to JIBAR, which is a reference rate. And it's being replaced by Zeronia, which is another reference rate. We will also talk about ferrochrome, because Eskom has reached an agreement with some of the ferrochrome producers. In the longer run, this will save jobs. I have a horrible feeling you and I might be subsidizing some of their electricity, though. And how I make my money, the career, we've never done this before, of a political analyst, Dr. Rolf Matega, actually, looking at how he ended up where he is. He's a farmer as well, by the way. I've promised him we'll talk about his farm. It's the condition of the interview. Stephen Critis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 28 minutes to 6, news time. Here's Mbali Dlamini.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Police have identified 3 persons of interest in the murder investigation of Marius van der Merwe, a witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. The witness, who appeared at the commission last month under a pseudonym of Witness D, gave testimony about alleged corruption within the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. He alleged that he was asked to dispose of a body by a suspended EMPD Chief Julius Mkwanazi. He was killed outside his home last Friday in full view of his family. At a media briefing today, National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola said one of the persons of interest has been taken in for questioning.
It is safe to say investigations are on the right track. The National Joints, together with the Madlanga Commission Security, has met over the last 2-3 days to develop a plan to heighten and enhance security around officials and witnesses linked to the commission.
ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa has talked tough on the organization's renewal, saying it's the only way it can continue to survive. Ramaphosa gave the political overview of the ANC at the 5th National General Council, currently underway at the Birchwood Hotel in Boksburg. The 4-day gathering will review the party's progress to implement resolutions undertaken at its 55th National Elective Conference in 2022, which also included organizational renewal. Ramaphosa his address focused on renewal and the need for the party to rid itself of bad habits, including corrupt members.
If the ANC can demonstrably renew itself, then public attitudes towards our movement will shift from cynicism to possibly cautious optimism. We have to earn that trust through our actions, not our words.
And the South African Weather Service has issued a yellow level 2 warning for severe thunderstorms in parts of Gauteng. It's outlined the harsh conditions may lead to localized flooding in low-lying areas, causing structural damage. Following damaging hailstorms in parts of the capital recently, the City of Tshwane's emergency service is advising residents to stay indoors where possible. Motorists across the province are also urged to exercise caution and to drive at a safe following distance. Tshwane EMS spokesperson Nana
City of Tshwane has identified areas in high-risk areas in all regions, and the emergency services will remain on high alert while continuously monitoring known flooding hotspots throughout this period.
A partly cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with thundershowers expected, lows of between 15 and 16 degrees and highs of between 29 and 31.
Fourways expect about a 20-minute delay on Winnie Mandela Drive. That's between the N1 and Broad Acres Drive. There's also bumper traffic in the area. This is on Witkoppen Road between Pritchard and Cedar Road. And in Sandton, heading towards Midrand, also expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Athol Oakland all the way to the Butlu interchange.
The top story in EWN, police have identified 3 persons of interest in the murder investigation of Marius van der Merwe, a witness at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
What would be your advice for the Madlanga Commission? How should they approach the issue of witness protection? Because what we are being told is that they did offer some protection for witness D, for Marius, and he said, well, he works in the security industry. You know, he didn't need that. What would be your advice?
We don't have to go to the extreme of witness protection programs, creating pseudo-identities, creating safe houses in different provinces. That's overkill. So if they are able to protect politicians who aren't living in secrecy, then perhaps we need to look at something similar. Nobody really wants to go into a witness protection program in South Africa because their life is completely in turmoil.
Chad Thomas, crime expert and organized crime investigator.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
This festive, turn your family meetings into family eatings with the Nando's Festive Fill-Up Meal. A full flame grilled chicken, 2 sharing sides, 4 cheesy rissoles, 2 Cabo Societies, 2 Nando's rolls, and a 1.5-liter Coca-Cola for only $3.99 to enjoy at your place. And if your family meeting is at our place, get 40 Rand off. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for that video to download. Or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. SMS out to 45142. Like 57-year-old Andy, who now pays only 1,083 Rand a month for his 2024 Ford Ranger. With Outsurance Comprehensive, you get 24/7 roadside assistance in case you break down, run out of petrol, lock your keys in the car, and more. Get used to getting more out. SMS out to 45142. After switching, 48-year-old Felicity now pays only 836 Rand a month for her 2020 Hyundai Tucson. Outsurance will either save you money on your car insurance or give you cash. That's right. If Outsurance can't beat what you're currently paying, ask them for 500 Rand. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you have nothing to lose. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. Limits apply.
It's been a long year of I hope this email finds you well.
one long year of loop backs, circle backs, going back to the drink board, touching base, pushing the envelope, taking things offline and thinking outside the box. Thank goodness AV's 4 for 3 is here. For vacays, bakeys, imicimbi, nemikiti and weddings. If you book a car for a minimum of 4 days, you'll only pay for 3. Plus, if it's a Group A car, you get upgraded to a stylish Group B car so you can really get into the vibe. Visit avis.co.za for bookings. Terms and conditions apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hello, Ntate John. How are you? As a legal person, my view is that there would have to be extreme circumstances that would enable you to claim something from the manufacturer or hold them accountable if they have in fact recalled these cars and said, we have a fault here, so bring it back and we fix it. Maybe timing as well is a factor that one has to consider. Did this happen before the recall? Did this happen after the recall? During? All those factors. However, I'm 100% sure of one thing: ignorance is not a defense at law. So you cannot come and claim that an incident happened and you did not know about it and use that as your defense to say that you did not know that they recalled these cars. So definitely ignorance, not a defense. Thank you for a great show as always.
Dr. John, good afternoon and good afternoon to the 702 lenders. All I heard from the gentleman is because our foreign policy and our domestic policies do not benefit American businesses, we will continue being in the crosshairs of the US because they are not benefiting. So basically, we should cower down and let them benefit, and then we will be fine. So basically, do what Kenya did, sell their medical records for the next 50 years, do what Rwanda has done, and Congo, sell their resources to American companies, and then we'll be fine with America. So we must just be slaves to them. That's never going to happen.
Hi, John. You know the problem with the ANC? They're busy eating our money. Every time there's a problem, they go to the Virtual Hotel. So who's paying? Who's paying for all that? They're going to renew themselves for what? Just ask yourself the question. Why are they renewing themselves? They were in power for more than 30 years now, and they still, after 30 years, renewing themselves. No, it's not on, John. It's not on. You know, they're busy eating the money there by the Virtual Hotel. That's what they are doing. Thank you. Bye.
So just a couple of people responding to our interview with Dr. Scott Fersing. If you missed it, he is with the Institute for Global Dialogue, but based in the US and is a Republican Party politician. If you missed the interview, by the way, primemediaplus.com, not just for that, but for anything else you might have missed in a 702 day, week or month. France says, John, you could have pushed back harder on the American guest. It almost sounded like agreement with the US's unreasonable take on South Africa. The reality is, France says, out of 600 plus American firms benefiting from this market, not a single one, aside from Elon Musk's theatrics, has raised any issue with doing business here. Kevin picks out a different aspect of the conversation and says, you asked the American commentator why the US seems to be targeting South Africa, not other countries. It's probably the same reason why the ANC targets Israel and not other countries like China and Nigeria regarding genocide. And we had one more. Where is it? Here we go. Mark. Trump's treatment of South Africa is part of Russ Vough's Project 2025 agenda. Project 2025, a conservative agenda for the United States. Russ Vought, if I pronounce it correctly, is one of the lead authors of that. Just that for context. Back to Mark. They are using South Africa as an example of what will happen in the USA if they don't implement racial cleansing. Okay, so lots of response to Scott Fersing, which is what we aim for when we pick a guest and choose a topic. 18 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele Wolves, amazing. This deep into a Premier League season, winless tonight. They're up against Manchester United. Who's saying what?
Well, John, coming into that game, there are concerns about Kobe Mainoo's lack of game time under Ruben Amorim, and the coach has discussed if the player could leave during the January transfer window.
I see it and I just want to win. I try to put the players. I don't look who it is
I don't care about that. I'm just trying to put the best players on the pitch. You have Ugarte that played 2 games. One of them, Casa, was out. Bruno is always fit. He's the guy that is doing his position, so maybe it has to do with that.
Mo Salah is not expected to be in Liverpool's squad to face Inter Milan in the UEFA Champions League. That's despite taking part in training on Monday. The forward has been at the centre of attention since Saturday after saying he feels like he's been thrown under the bus by the Reds amid their struggles this season, while his relationship with head coach Arne Slot has broken down. Salah was an unused substitute in the 3-3 draw at Leeds United, the third straight game that the Egyptian international started on the bench.
We don't have any relationship. I don't know why. It seems to me, how I see it, it's someone doesn't want me in the club. It's not acceptable for me, to be fair. Like, I don't know why that happened always to me. Like, I don't get it. I don't think I'm the problem. I have done so much for this club. I'm very disappointed. I'm very, very disappointed, to be fair. I have done so much for this club. Everybody can see that during the years and especially last season.
Chippa United goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali could miss the Africa Cup of Nations as he struggles with both an ankle and hand injury. Nwabali was first choice keeper for Nigeria when they reached the final of the last edition and has been a regular keeper since, amassing a total of 27 caps. However, he hasn't played since the Super Eagles were beaten by the Democratic Republic of Congo last month. That was in a 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying playoff match. And in cricket, the Proteas will ramp up their preparations for next year's World Cup with a 5-match T20 series against India that starts tomorrow. Those games, along with the upcoming SA20, are the only opportunities available to the side to fine-tune their skills ahead of February's tournament. David Miller has discussed if that's adequate preparation for the players.
I think so. I think the standard and the competition in there in SA20 is as high as any other league that you can get around the world. Comparing it to international series, I think you can't really compare with that. But in terms of prep, I think the guys are going to be playing in front of packed houses, crowds back at home. Yeah, the guys will definitely be tested personally and individually and whatever it is.
Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, let's get the very latest from the roads now. Karabo Chali is keeping an eye out on things for you. 4 ways, trouble all day there, hey?
Yeah, it's been an issue this afternoon, John. You can expect about a 20-minute delay on Winnie Mandela Drive between the N1 and Broad Acres Drive. There's also bumper-to-bumper traffic in the area on Witkoppen Road between Pritchard and Cedar Road, while in Rivonia heading towards 4 ways. Traffic heavily backed up N1 southbound from the Bacloons change to Winnie Mandela Drive. Midrand traffic remains sluggish. N1 north between the Bacloons change and Samrand, while in Sandton you can still expect more than a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Ethel Oaklands all the way to the Bacloons change. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
14 minutes now to 6 o'clock. A little bit earlier, we were talking about Christmas meals and what you prepare. Have you changed that over the years? What's on the menu? Have you started doing shopping? Have you started dividing it up in terms of budget, saying, hey, listen, I can't carry it all this year. Now, this would match your Christmas lunch there, Karabo Chali. This is Noni who says, I loved entertaining my kids at Christmas. The menu would be standard. Beef roast beef, tongue and turkey for the meat. 3 choices. Trifle for afters. I think that's your pudding there coming up. Seasonal veggies and salad. A mandatory Christmas cake, champers and crackers were never forgotten. A real treat. Okay. Anyway, but let's turn to the music now. What kind of music, Christmas music, is on your playlist? And is it stuff you kind of really like? You like the songs, or do you only listen to them at that particular kind of year? Now, I'm asking you about Christmas music. You may say to yourself, no, I play the complete catalogue of Lionel Richie on Christmas. We'll have a conversation about that perhaps sometime next week, a little nearer to Christmas Day. But we're asking specifically about Christmas songs, be they carols or other kinds of Christmas music. Your absolute favorites, please start sending them in on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. Jonathan Fairbairn has been doing a little bit of digging. Is this one of your favorites, or is it a favorite that's out there that you've reeled in?
Afternoon, John. Yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite songs. There's many, Christmas songs that I enjoy, but this one is pretty cool. So what we would normally do is we'd go to YouTube and find a Christmas playlist,
right?
And then it would just play, some of the most popular, inverted commas, Christmas songs, and it could be pop songs, it could be real proper Christmas carols, and various other kinds of songs as well. So that's what kind of we do. I mean, I don't have it on my phone.
Yes.
But as I said, we'll play it on the TV in the house and just could have bring a little bit of Christmas spirit into the home.
So what you got for us now?
We got Michael Bublé, and it's Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Thank you. Let's hear it.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be mine.
Michael Bublé with his version of a song that's been around since, can you imagine, 1944. Judy Garland first sung it as part of the movie Meet Me in St. Louis. Frank Sinatra, probably one of the more famous people who covered that. But it's been done by all sorts of people, including Whitney Houston, Keisha Cole. Josh Groban sang it as well. John Legend did a version in 2018. There have been a few. So, your favorite Christmas song, and you may want to tell us why as well. Maybe it's got a particular meaning in the timeline of your life or the run of your friendships, whatever it might be. 072 702 1702, 10 to 6.
Hang a shining star.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
As police search for gunmen who killed 12 people in Atteridgeville, National Commissioner Fani Masimula has called on officers to fast-track their investigation. Masimula is this morning expected to visit Aishabeen at the Salsville hostel where Saturday's mass shooting happened. 3 children between the ages of 3 and 16 are among the people killed, while other victims have been hospitalized.
It's understood the gunmen entered the establishment at around 4 o'clock in the morning and began shooting randomly at patrons.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for pharmacies, convenience stores, beauty salons, and more. Corney?
Business Outsurance is definitely the best insurance for my business. Bowled out every other insurance house. Honestly, looking at what you need, my installment came down within a day. Definitely the most professional.
Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Visit outsurance.co.za. Switch and save today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Your uncle says buy the other brand. He also still uses a Hotmail address. You do you. You do Mini, the Mini Countryman. Available from 9,899 Rand per month with Mini Select Finance. Visit mini.co.za to book your test drive. Select offer only available from Mini Financial Services, a division of BMW Financial Services South Africa Pty Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Offer exclusively applies to the Mini Countryman. Initiation and service fee apply. Offer linked to the current prime rate. Calculated on a 10% deposit, 48 monthly installments, final GFV payment, and 80,000 kilometer contract limit. Changes to the deal and optional extras will impact finance offer. Offer valid until 31 December. Subject to stock availability. T's and C's apply.
Team, summer is game time in Mzansi. Every tap, scan, swipe, it all adds up. And FNB is giving us big rewards, partner deals, e-bucks, defense tips, and chances to score experiences money can't buy. But you're only in the game if you paid with FNB. So stay sharp, spend clever, and let's dominate. FNB. Get in the game with FNB. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, Northrise FSP and credit provider, NCRCP 20, T's and C's, earn rules and limits apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Brother John, for me, is Santa Tell Me by Ariana Grande. Santa Tell Me, Ariana Grande.
Santa, tell me if you're really there. Don't make me fall in love again if you won't be here next year. Santa, tell me if he really cares, 'cause I can't give it all away if he won't be here next year. Feeling Christmas all around, and I'm trying to play it cool, but it's hard to focus when I see him walking across the room. Let it snow is blasting now, but I won't get in the mood. I'm avoiding every mistletoe until I know it's true love that he thinks of. So next Christmas, I'm not all alone, boy. Santa, tell me if you're really there.
Ariana Grande, Santa Tell Me. That's the first song coming in. What about you? What is your favorite Christmas song? We got this from no name put to it, but Coldplay. I didn't know they had a Christmas song. It's called Christmas Lights.
Christmas night, another fight. Tears we cried, a flood. Got all kinds of poison in my blood. I took my feet to Oxford Street, trying to right a wrong. Just walk away, those windows say, but I can't believe she's gone. When you're still waiting for the snow to fall, it doesn't really feel like Christmas at all.
Okay, so this is a few of your suggestions here. Merry Christmas, everyone, by Slade, says Robert. Nothing like 70s glam rock. So much different. Don't forget the top hat. What was his name? Noddy Holder. The top hat and the platform shoes. There was a Dave Hill as well, I remember, who had this curvy fringe. All this from our youth. 8 Ball says, promise you, John, play Rex Rabanye and see what your listeners say. It's the Black Home Christmas Day anthem. And I think he gives us a suggestion of a particular Rex Rabanye song. Rex Rabanye Oken song and any Stimela tracks. Anyway, let's have a few more of your voice notes.
Good afternoon, Dr. John. This is Levin from Cape Town. My favorite song is Luther Vandross, Please Come Home for Christmas. Just love that song.
Hi, John Zuko. I think one of the best Christmas albums is by Nat King Cole. I think it's called the Christmas album. And the song that I love there is the first Noel. Thank you.
Noel, Noel, Noel. Born is the King of Israel. The first Noel, the angel heard it say was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 Noel.
Nat King Cole, what an absolutely extraordinary voice. I must go back and listen to some other things that he did. Beatrice, my favorite is Silver Bells by Jim Reeves. Shandu Boni M, Mary's Boy Child. And yeah, we've decided to play that Slade song. Let's go back and get ourselves some 70s glam rock. Not quite a Christmas carol, but Slade anyway with that Christmas song of theirs. A band formed in Wolverhampton all the way back in 1963. So appropriate, I suppose. Winless Wolves play Manchester United tonight. They could do with an early Christmas gift, but who knows whether that's coming their way. Tola Kele back with more sports a little bit later, but we're all out of here. This has been 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, and the team. Have yourselves a great Monday. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV Channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Discover the latest trends shaping digital assets across Africa. Download the ABSA Africa Digital